Well, for those of you who don't know, today on Set It Off, we have Dana White from Holden Caulfield. Um, you know what? I'll even use the tag. You probably hate this, but I would say West Virginia hardcore legend Dana White.
I don't hate it. I just don't know how to respond to that because
Yeah,
it sounds so grandiose, you
it
know?
does. But I mean, Holden Caulfield for hardcore kids in West Virginia, my generation specifically, I'd say like that was you guys are like rock stars to us, like hardcore. Like you've got a lot of people into this, so
Yeah. No,
I'm
it
sure
was
you're aware of that.
I've been told. Please don't take anything I say like that as the least bit cocky or anything. But I have been told. It's an
Yeah,
amazing feeling. Like even now, like the fact, dude, we broke up in 2008
yeah.
and uh we're actually coming up on the anniversary of it. I think it was August 30th was our last show and we're coming up on that and like it's 2025, man, and at least once a year somebody might say something to me about that band.
Yeah, what's the it's how so yeah. When's when's a little reunion happening?
Oh, buddy, I tell you, here's the honest truth about that. Um, I would love to do a reunion show, or just like be one of those bands that comes back and plays occasionally and stuff, and does write new stuff. But it's not entirely up to me, you know.
Yeah.
And and it's nothing against anybody else or anything like that. It's definitely nothing negative. But I want everybody. If we were going to do it, I would want everybody in that last lineup to be like absolutely into the idea and stuff like that. Like we still talk occasionally. I don't get to talk to him as much as I'd like to, but like I've made it a point. I think the last time we were in West Virginia, I went and visited Josh, and I got to see Jared at the Chum Reunion show, and texted all of them. Hopefully, I'm going to see Bobby here in a couple of weeks. Sadly, I haven't seen Nick in way too long, but I need to maybe not be a jerk and make the effort. You know what I mean?
It's easy to get busy. It just is.
Well, I mean that, and like I live in Louisville, Kentucky now, and it's like when we're in town, we always stay with our friend Lisa and her husband Chad,
Oh yeah,
and
I
they
know
live
Lisa.
up. Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, they live up above Charleston, and it's man, it's always hard to coordinate trying to visit with everybody the way you want to, you know. Which is why a show would be ideal. Don't get me wrong, but
Right? So just show them everything that's happening in hardcore right now. Just like, look, all these bands that like broke up are like, oh wait, we can just play weekends. We can just do like one weekend every 3 or 4 months. You don't have to do the grind anymore. The
well, that like living in Louisville, the nice thing about Louisville is it is only 3 hours west of Huntington. It's an easy day trip to just pop up there, do a thing, then come home. I've definitely done it. Last year, the Is for Lovers Fest came through, and I knew there were going to be a billion people there that I was friends with that I don't get to see otherwise. And yeah, there were some of the bands that I wanted to see, but I paid money to see my friends, and it was
yeah.
worth it.
I mean, here's the thing. Just I live in Orlando, Florida, right? That's where I live now.
Right.
If Holden Caulfield was doing a reunion show, there's a 0% chance I don't fly to wherever that is.
Yeah.
It's just
You would
I would have to. I'd be compelled to.
you would I'm 99% sure that that would be the first anybody ever came to see us. My buddy Jason drove down from Baltimore to our last show, and I think he was the furthest that
Well,
anybody ever
now
drove to see us at that point.
now you have all the dudes that were like young whenever you guys were breaking up that have like left West Virginia. I think a lot of people would travel for it. I really
Yeah.
do. Um,
Yeah, dude, a ton of us freaking moved, and I don't know about everybody else, but every now and then I'm just like, man, I miss West Virginia so bad.
yeah. Do you guys what about like the music you already have? Do you guys ever plan on like maybe releasing physical copies of that? Like
Like the stuff that we wrote but never released, or stuff that
no,
we
the stuff
did.
that you released, like maybe like re-releasing like a vinyl or
There has been talk of that. That at one point I was trying to spearhead that, and just life got in the way of me actually finishing the stupid thing, because I mean, you know how that goes when you don't have people on you about it, and you know that there's no real actual urgency to do it. Like if that was an active band, then yeah, of course I would have gotten it done, because I did with all the releases before. But since it's not an active band and I don't have anybody like on me being like, hey, let's do this and all that, it didn't get done. And then there was talk within the last year of it happening, but it just hasn't come to fruition yet. And it's honestly, if I were to put forth more effort, I think it probably would have happened. But it's just like stuff has come up, and
Yeah.
it's nothing like super serious, but it's just like when you're going about your day-to-day life, you forget, hey, that band I used to be in, there's this project I could do that actually some people want to happen, you know?
Yeah. Well, two things. First off, let me explain to you hardcore math. Hardcore math goes: you release an anniversary vinyl, and then a reunion show just happens to follow.
Just
It's
somehow
naturally.
happens.
Well, it rehypes it. People get hyped. Other
Well,
people in the band will be like, "Oh, people
yeah.
really want to see this."
I did talk to all the guys about it, and they were on board with it. I mean, they were all fine with it, you know? Yeah, I mean, I remember when, like, for years, Botch said that they were never going to do any more shows, and then as soon as they started talking about re-releasing some stuff, I was like, "Oh, buddy, here it comes! They're going to play some shows," and then they did, and I didn't get to go to any of them.
Well, that's it. I would say like right now, my two favorite hardcore bands are probably Cold World and Foundation.
Yeah,
Foundation's doing the weekend thing, man, and I'm going
yeah.
everywhere they go. I went to Detroit. I'm going to
Did you really?
Birmingham. Like, yeah, yeah.
I
Like
I will
it's
say, like, I thought that the Hope Conspiracy, like, they said we were quiet about it, but we wanted to get back together, but we didn't just want to play stuff that existed. And then they released a whole new record, and it's killer, by the way. And then like Stretch got back together and they recorded an EP, and it's amazing. Like I like if I were gonna, I if everybody was into it, don't get me wrong, but if we ever did play again, I would still want to like write stuff occasionally and release new stuff, even if it was like just a handful of songs, just because it's. I mean, that's so much of the fun. Like
yeah.
for me, it's now so much of it, almost all of it, is that I just miss my friends. I don't get to see these people regularly. And like even coming to shows in Louisville, because I look like the old guy now, I mean, essentially am. I haven't met a ton of people at shows down here for the most part, and it really makes my heart ache for like West Virginia shows,
Yeah.
because I know that no matter who I went to see, I was gonna freaking run into somebody I knew. And it might not be somebody that like I was close to. I might not have seen him in 5 years, but I was still gonna be happy to see him and get to talk to him for a while. And I
Interesting.
couldn't tell you how many shows I went to in Huntington and Charleston alone, knowing it's gonna be fine. There'll be a ton of people there I know, you know?
I'm actually going to my first local show. I've been in Orlando for almost a year. Going to my first local show tomorrow at a house that I got
Yeah.
invited to, and I'm like, oh, I need this. I need the. Here's the thing, like you said, it's more about playing with your friends, and that's to me that's what hardcore has kind of been. It's like the community behind it is part of the things
Yeah.
that make it what it is. Like there, I mean, there's multiple parts. Like
God.
there's multiple parts to it. There's the I don't know. You know, you go to your first hardcore show. I think you immediately know if you get it or not.
Yeah.
Like you go there and you're like, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. And then speaking of that, oh, the other thing with the vinyl, because you haven't done it yet, just because you're the first person I could think of that I would refer to as like an archivist of especially like local like West Virginia hardcore.
You see my
Um
CD collection back there? That's not
I
all of it.
I know. I know. That's part of the reason I wanted to initially start this channel is the we don't have a lot of interviews with bands from back in the day that I would rewatch now, like 10 years
Yeah.
later, 15 years later. Man, almost 20 years later, actually, the more I sit here and do the math.
Ooh, yeah. Holden Caulfield started in 2000
Yeah.
and broke up in 2008. And, you know, at the time we thought it was an okay idea and to break up, I mean, and it really didn't take too long before I was kind of like, wish we hadn't done that. And we played like when Lex Vegas did their last tour, we were on the flyer listed as and maybe a special surprise guest because we thought we want to play one more time with Lex Vegas because they're our good friends, and so we played 5 songs when they came through St. Albans, and that was it. We haven't played together since. I mean, I've played with like Bobby and I were in a couple of bands together after that, and then Nick jammed with us like once when we were doing Black Seas. Um, you know, but like heck, I grew up with Jared. Anything I can do with Jared's great.
Yeah. So part of the show is, man, we kind of go to the beginning, and it's I feel like in the mid to late 2000s, hardcore is a lot easier to discover. But so when did you first start getting into like DIY music? Let's start there.
So you have to bear with me for a second. Warning: most of my stories are long-winded.
Ooh, it's great for
But
podcasting, actually.
yeah, I guess so. So there used to be this skate shop in Huntington called Iguana, and uh, we used to go down there and nervously try and talk to people and buy stuff and become better at skating and everything. And they had a zine called Iguana Zine. I didn't know anything about zines at all until I saw that, and I was just like, it was just a lot of it was even handwritten. It was just typed and then pasted on a thing and photocopied pictures of skaters and stuff like that. And we were just like, it's kind of cool. These guys just do this little independent thing. You know, it's not anything high end, but it's still there and it's still cool. And one time, some buddies of mine and I, guys from high school, we were going to Columbus up there to skate and spend the night with a friend. And we got to talking about doing a zine, literally because of the idea from Iguana Zine. And we were like, what do we call it? What do we call it? What do we call it? And we were passing by some farmer's market on the way to Columbus that had this giant plywood ear of corn in the middle of a field. It was, probably 15, 20 feet tall. And one of the guys yells out corn zine. It might have even been me. I don't remember. This was a long time ago. And we were like, that's it. Cause it was ridiculous, like
Yeah.
we just thought everything. Cause when you're younger too, everything's kind of tongue in cheek and all that. And so we went with it and we just started this sloppy zine, very much, handwritten, blew in a picture on there. And that's really where I cut my teeth doing design work too. And it did get neater over time, but even then, like if I look back at any of that stuff, I'm like, ooh, I'd do that differently now. But through doing that, this is the point of the whole story. Through doing that, I had been going to local shows in Charleston and Nitro. Um, my friend Lisa, who is one of my oldest friends, her younger brother George went to these shows down at the Nitro Flea Market, and uh, uh, we used to make fun of it because we didn't have any idea what it was. And then finally, we had nothing to do one Friday night. I was like, you know what? Let's go check out this show. It was amazing. Like 49-year-old Dana could go to that same show right now and just stand in the back and just chew it up,
Yeah.
young Dana. And granted, I still dance at shows to this day. But young Dana just stayed in the pit all night. Older Dana would absorb the entire atmosphere, because like because I know now what that is. And at the time I was just like, yeah, music, and and then, again, back to Cornzine, like that's part of the reason I wanted to start Cornzine too. So I could talk about music and talk about skating and whatever. And then somehow or another, this dude, from the Charleston area, he did a thing that was very similar that I didn't know about. And he was thick. And if I remember correctly, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but I think it was called the Music Corner. And he just wrote reviews like crazy. And he hooked me up with Victory Records. And I had already been getting stuff from Relapse and a couple other like decent sized labels, So I was getting a lot of metal and some punk and stuff like that. And then I was already into bands like Biohazard and Sick of It All and stuff, some of the more accessible hardcore at the time, but not it was like popular enough to get to me pretty easily.
What year is this roughly?
Ooh.
Are we talking like Late 90s or early
Early
2000s or
90s. Early
early
90s.
90s? Oh, okay. Man, so
Yeah.
that's where the victory. Okay.
Yeah, dude, early Victory. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started getting stuff from Victory, became friends with some people there. I'm still friends with one of the people that used to work there. Her name's Kathy. She's a super nice person. Um, and yeah, then that branched out into me getting into more and more and more and more underground hardcore, and I started going to shows, and then like friends started bringing shows into town. Then I started bringing, I'm sorry, yeah, bringing shows into town, and that opened up the door to even more bands that I'd never heard of, and it was so good. We wouldn't be
What
talking right now if it wasn't for that, because like there's just so many things that cascaded off me getting into that music, you know.
what were some of the bigger bands to come through West Virginia in like the early to mid 90s? Like bands that would be considered kind of like, even if they were not known then, kind of known now, you know?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like there was this place in Huntington called Gumby's, and he used to bring the guy Kerwood used to. Gosh, is that his name? I'm second guessing everybody's name now. He passed away years ago. He ran a club in Charleston for a long time too, but uh, I got to see Sam Black Church and Clutch for the first time in '94 at Gumby's, and I have seen Clutch 30 sometimes since. And I mean, granted, that band has evolved from being a hardcore band into being what they are now. But you know, and then went and saw Sam Black Church as much as I could, which they didn't ever. Sam Black never blew up huge, but you know,
Seeing a lot
excuse
of
me.
Fugazi spam in the chat.
Oh, hey, sorry everybody. Yep, I actually played one of those Fugazi shows.
Wait, one of how many times did Fugazi come through?
Twice. Twice that I
That's so
remember.
cool.
It might have been three times, but I think it was twice. They played at the Common Grounds in Charleston with Shindig and a band that I sang in called All for Nothing, which was originally Malicious Intent, and then after I joined as a second singer, it was the '90s, two singers. We changed the name shortly after to All for Nothing.
Shindig was a
But
band in the 90s? I had
yeah,
no
dude.
idea.
Yeah,
Okay, I know because I know
they're
Richie.
yeah, yeah. Richie's a great guy. I went to like I knew him from shows, and then we went to college together and stuff too.
Okay.
And he
I thought
ran
they
a venue and recording studio right across the river in New Albany, Indiana for a
okay.
while.
Yeah, yeah. I saw there was I remember when he was doing the studio thing. Now it seems like he's like really into baseball. I see him post a lot of baseball stuff,
Oh,
but
yeah?
yeah.
You know, I haven't seen that because freaking Facebook is like, "I know you're friends with this guy, but I'm not gonna show you any of his stuff, and you may or may not notice."
Yeah. To be
Sorry,
fair, I'm
Richie.
not on Facebook very much, but I think I actually looked him up. Like what's because we were talking and Shindig got brought up on stream. Okay, what he's up to.
Their drummer, Brian Pauly, was in this band called The Provost, and then he was in Dirt Bear, and I was a huge Dirt Bear fan. I still listen to Dirt Bear to this day. And you know, it's not like constant rotation, but it's still a super fun band. It's this insane mix of metal and punk and like grunge, and I don't know how they pulled it off. I've never seen anybody nail it so well as they did. But anyway, and then Brian went on to do Shindig with Richie and Derek, and granted there were different people in that band, but um Brian booked a lot of the shows at the Common Grounds, like the more punk and stuff. Like he booked that Fugazi show, and he's the one that kind of got me comfortable with the idea of starting to book shows.
That's what I was leading into. So you're naturally going where I want to go. Um,
Hey.
so when did you book your first show?
So during the '90s, I was gonna actually book Sam Black Church. That was the first show I was ever gonna book, and it was a $500 guarantee. And for some reason, like a bunch of other local shows got booked very close to that show, and I was worried it was going to tank. And I had a crappy job at the time, so I wasn't going to be able to pay them if it did tank. And I canceled the show, and I got reamed out by their tour manager. Fair enough. I can't really argue with that. He's a nice guy too, but he was not happy about me canceling that show. Um,
Yeah,
and it wasn't like last minute, but still, you know. And then I think I it was probably 97, 98. I think, when I started booking shows. And um first time I booked something that like had more touring bands and stuff that I was like, man, this is just too much fun to not do all the time. I booked this 2 nights of hardcore thing at the Common Grounds, and Code 7 played, and Bludgeon played before they were Bludgeon, and Bipolar played. My old band Down to None played. Malicious Intent played. Some other bands played. It was great. Super fun. 2 nights packed out. Like, couldn't have been more thrilled. Tried to recreate it some 20 years later. Not with the same bands, just 2 nights of hardcore. But it was at a venue that nobody hardly went to in Huntington. It was really new. And yeah, nobody hardly showed up.
Oh no.
But whatever. I mean, nobody in the world has a winner for every show they book. But yeah,
So
like I
like
was booking at the Common Grounds, and then like eventually the Common Grounds closed, and for a minute we didn't quite know what to do, and then like we started doing stuff at the YWCA in Huntington. My timelines are semi messed up here. I don't remember the details of all this, and we started doing the American Legion in Charleston too. So, by the way, everybody that maybe isn't necessarily from West Virginia, this is almost all West Virginia centric stuff.
oh, we have a very heavy West Virginia lean on this
I kind of figured.
but okay, so when you were booking, like where you had that relationship with Victory, were you able to so like when I was booking shows, because I started booking shows in like '08, and
Right.
I had like relationship and ended up getting a pretty good relationship with like Death Wish and mostly Death Wish is who I worked with. A few other just,
Not a bad group of
independent
people to work
people,
with.
but huh?
I
Oh
said not a
yeah,
bad group of people to work with.
yeah. The first show I got offered was Blacklisted. So
Did you
like
book that
that's
blacklisted show at High Amp?
no. So no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
okay.
That was a big show. That was like Blacklisted, who was Devil Wears Prada, Second Story Window, I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to be two different shows, and they got married into one because like they weren't going to turn down booking a blacklisted show. It was great.
My Blacklisted show ended up getting canceled, so my first show ended up being She Rides. But
Okay. Yeah,
um,
because I knew they didn't play there another time.
no, 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 no. Yeah, it ended up falling through, unfortunately. But that was like right off the bat, had a good relationship with Death Wish, and booking that She Ride show actually helped me out a lot. But back then, is that how it worked, or was that bands dealing more with like independent bookers?
It started with independent bookers and me talking directly to the bands, and like heck, early on it was phone calls and like friends referring you to people and stuff. Like there were a handful of semi decent sized bands that it wasn't really hard for me to play a game of like, I know this guy knows this guy knows this guy, and just get phone numbers and call people directly and end up becoming friends with people that way. And which was super rad for a couple of redneck kids from West Virginia, you know. But later on it evolved into like, because I worked with these labels, they knew that we didn't have a ton of shows, but we booked shows and we were hungry for it. So they would say, "Hey, would you be interested in booking these bands if we could hook you up with their booking agent?" Yeah, sure. Or hook you up directly with the band, you know, whatever. And so slowly it became that, and then I got in good with a handful of booking agencies, some of which ended up being like huge booking agencies later on. I don't know if they were huge at the time because they didn't feel like it to me because they were so like easy to work with. But and like so there's probably at least one or two people listening right now that have heard this story, but one of the biggest now, but at the time small shows that I ever got offered that I turned down. There was a $600 guarantee for this show, and it was going to be a middle of the week show. I had just had a couple of shows, and I was going to have another one in like a week and a half, and I was worried about money, so I turned it down. But it was going to be All Out War with Mastodon opening.
That's crazy. That's
Like,
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, would I become bosom friends with the guys in All Out War or Mastodon that night, and we stayed in touch forever? It's like doubtful because that doesn't always happen, but still kind of a neat thing to be like, yeah, I booked both of those bands. And like, yeah, Mastodon went on to be one of the biggest bands ever, but still would have been kind of a fun story. It's still a fun story, but I would rather the story been like, yeah, I booked those guys once for $600 with a split guarantee for $600. Um, but you know,
Yeah, that would have been that would. That'd been
I
wild.
mean, yeah. I did book
Um,
Thursday's first show ever in West Virginia. They canceled the whole tour, and they kept our show. They drove straight from New Jersey to the show, and they were the nicest guys ever. They're still the nicest guys ever. And then they played a few years later. They played in Morgantown. Supposed to be with Sick of It All, but Sick of It All had to cancel because one of the guys' wives was having some medical issues, and they canceled. Thursday still played. We drove up, watched them. At the end of the show, I was just walking through. It was at 123 Pleasant Street. I was walking through the venue, and Jeff Rickley was walking by, and he goes, "Hey, I know you. I just can't place it." And I was like, "I booked you guys in Charleston a few years ago." He goes, "Oh my gosh!" And he gives me a big hug. We talked for a while. Like we went out to eat that night and everything. Like super
yeah,
sweet guys. And then when they played that for Lovers Fest last year, Jeff actually mentioned like we haven't been here in so long. Our first show was in Charleston. Da 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 da. And I was just like, that guy's got a good memory because a lot of people would just be they wouldn't put the effort into remembering that stuff. You know, they'd be like, "Yeah, we played a show and we moved on to the next thing." You know.
yeah. I'm
So I
actually
gained
gonna
a lot of respect for those guys.
be seeing Thursday here soon because they're going on tour with
Nice.
Silverstein coming here to Orlando.
Yeah.
I was like, I should go check that out.
Yeah.
So man, okay. I get back
I
on
will
track here.
derail most of the thoughts you try and have because I go off on too many tangents.
I'm not even worried about not going off the rails. I love going off the rails. It's my favorite thing. Trying to keep a timeline a little bit.
While you're
So
trying to think of it, I'm going to say something that a buddy of mine will enjoy. Last a couple nights ago, I was on the phone with my friend JX, and he was like, "You know what you should do? You should not wear a band T-shirt." And I was like, "I'm probably going to wind up doing that because this is how I dress for work." And he's like, "But what if you didn't? Just go against the grain. Don't wear a band T-shirt." I got a text from him the second this started. He's like, "You didn't do it."
I just realized that it's reversed. Or how to fix
Yeah, it
that?
is, isn't it? I don't
Interesting.
know.
It's funny
It
because
might be
I'm wearing a
some.
band T-shirt and this is what I wore to work.
Yours isn't reversed. Mine is. This is a neutral agreement
Yep.
shirt. It wasn't deliberate that I
Mine
literally
is
talked to their
reversed.
guitar. Oh, see, on my end, it's not.
Interesting.
I
On my
no, I
stream, it
immediately saw it
is.
was the pain of truth. But yeah, I literally talked to Brian from Neutral Agreement last night, but and this has nothing to do with talking to him. I just still wear all of my old shirts. Dude, I've got T-shirts from the early '90s that I still have in my active rotation, and they don't look. They look like this. They don't look old at all.
Yeah.
This shirt's from the early 2000s. Pro tip: wash your shirts in cold water, inside out. Dry them on the lowest heat you can. They'll last forever.
I regret the shirts that I got rid of over the years.
I still lost some in the process, man. Not because of the way I took care of them, because like I lost a bunch of weight, or like in the '90s we wore double XL shirts just because that's what we wore. And like skating culture in that time was like, oh, let's wear the biggest stuff we can. And then once I got away from that, I realized like I could wear a medium. Well, old dad's gained a little bit of weight in the last 5 years, and now I started breaking out the larges again.
um, someone asked me about a show. So when did you start booking like some of the bigger like hardcore bands? Like let's
I
back
don't
up.
remember what
What
show
was
you're
the
thinking
one?
of.
Um,
Watch me accidentally
I
take
have
credit
it
for doing
here. I
something
have it
forbidden.
here. It's coming up.
Do you remember where it was? Was
It was like
it in
pre.
Huntington or
Oh,
Charleston?
oh, Buried Alive, 2000.
Uh, uh, yeah, I don't remember how that worked out. I think it was just through the booking agency. You know,
Yeah,
I may have booked them once, like more than once, and then the guys at High Amp booked them as well, and we played. I know Holden Caulfield at least played one of those shows. Um, yeah, I saw Buried Alive here in Louisville a couple of years ago at this really weird venue that doesn't book shows like that at all. It's a Hispanic dance club,
no,
and like I didn't know that's what it was. I saw the flyer and I literally honed in on the design work, and I was like, I think I know what this place is. And then I got there and I was like dead on. And that's not like a weird race thing. It's literally design choices. Like I just pay attention to stuff like that.
yeah,
And I was like, And I got there, everybody was great. There were not a lot of people there, but man, it was fun and they were amazing.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to like now backtrack to you playing music. Well, first off,
Sure.
something I was thinking about. Were there a lot of people booking shows like pre-high amp? Let's go with that.
Um, so like I was mentioning earlier, my friend Brian Pauly, he booked stuff at the Common Grounds and like when the Common Grounds started, it was very much like a kind of a chill sort of hippie vibe place, you know. And it was a coffee shop, and then they moved over to Summer Street in Charleston, and they started like Brian started booking shows there, and then I got in with those guys. I knew those guys already, but I got like more involved in the music scene and stuff, and then like I started trying to book stuff, and um and then James and Chris started High Amp somewhere along that line, and then our friend Angela booked some shows, and Leslie booked some shows, and like I'm not giving last names on purpose just because it's a live stream and stuff. But like, well, I guess I have been half of this time,
Sometimes.
but at any rate, like a bunch of different people were booking, and sometimes certain bands would work with certain people just because they knew them and stuff like that. Um, but like there were a lot of people that did book back then that like you knew it was going to be a fun show. You know, sometimes you would go just because you knew who booked it and you knew it was still going to be a good time. Or like you knew I don't know these bands, but I bet I'm going to like them because Angela booked them or whoever. So it was it was fun. And then too, you know, like I was saying earlier, you always show up and there's a bunch of people you know there and it ends up being great anyways.
Yeah, someone was mentioning in chat Hatebreed at the Y. I think there's a
Oh yeah,
video of that on YouTube.
there
Um,
is. So are you in the chat on Twitch? Because I don't have that open. Should I have that open?
it's up to you. That's a. I usually go over that spiel beforehand. If you want the chat open, it's a live
Probably
stream, so
probably should
um,
look at that. Hey,
yeah.
side note, totally unrelated, 100% unrelated. I opened up Facebook just now to get the link, and Taika Waititi, who did Jojo Rabbit and the Thor movies and stuff,
Yeah.
is now attached to some sort of Judge Dredd film,
Oh
and
man,
I am pumped.
that's pretty cool.
But I love that Dredd movie; it's so good. Oh, come on.
This reminds
Hey,
me.
there's both of us over there. And now my shirt on that is straight and yours is backwards.
I don't understand. I'm looking at my stream preview. It looks like yours is backwards. No, yours is no. Never mind. Yours is normal on my stream, and mine is backwards.
Okay. I closed it because the audio got laggy. I actually closed it.
Oh, okay. You can actually do it. Well, there's a Twitch pop out chat, so you don't have to have the stream up. You can just pop the chat out.
Oh,
Um,
no. I'm not going to
it's
worry
it's
about
a
it.
whole.
I don't
I'll
want everybody to watch me tech support my way through this because I wasn't prepared.
um if you want me to read some of the questions to you as we go, I
Yeah,
can
man,
do that as
please.
well.
I'll answer anything anybody wants to ask me.
Or they
Um,
said,
I
Dana,
will.
you booked Most Precious Blood in '01 at the Legion, didn't you?
Yes. Other band that I still listen to like crazy. I
And
booked Most Precious Blood a lot. Um, and um, like most of you probably know, Indecision was a band for a long time, and then broke up in the middle of a tour, and then like formed Most Precious Blood. Like like not most, but several of the members formed Most Precious Blood. I had known them. You know, I was acquainted with them at least like when they were in Indecision and stuff like that, and um thankfully got to see him on that last tour up in Morgantown and got to play that show with him actually. And then when Most Precious Blood got together, the first time I booked them was when they only had the cassette demo. It was at the American Legion in Charleston. And that show was hilarious because like it was supposed to be X amount of bands, and then Most Precious Blood broke down somewhere around Morgantown. It was them and the Wage of Sin, which was Rachel from Most Precious Blood's all female hardcore band. And so they Most Precious Blood hopped in the Wage of Sin's car, threw their guitars in there, got to our show late. We had a bunch of locals just kill time playing. I mean, not, it wasn't killing time. They were great, but we had a bunch of these locals playing that weren't originally scheduled to play. And Holden Caulfield played, and then they used our gear when they got there, and they all went up to all of our amps and turned them 100% all the way up. It just ruled. They were so good, and it was a perfect cap to the night, because like they finally made it. We were all excited to see him. A bunch of us had that cassette demo, and we were losing our minds. Like it was lots of fun. And then I booked him a bunch of times after that. Like I booked him at the Legion several times, and I booked him at High Amp and the Brick House and stuff. And again, like always wanted to see him play live, but it was an excuse to hang out with friends too. And we drove to Pittsburgh and Columbus and Cleveland and several other places to see Most Precious Blood.
Yeah. That's one of
But
those
yeah,
bands that I would consider like one of the big bands that came. Like I always try to tell people from outside of West Virginia, the bands that have came through here, like Most Precious Blood, Hatebreed, Have Heart, like people are surprised that they're all coming to these like little towns in West Virginia.
yeah, dude. But David Dunlap booked shows back then too. I should have mentioned him
That's
because
that's who I booked shows with. I was his roommate.
yeah, because he brought in some great shows too. Oh my gosh! And like
Across a
when he
lot of
first
genres.
Yeah, and when he first came back and really started booking a bunch of shows again, I got pumped because I was like, "This is gonna be great. He's gonna book so much good stuff." And then like he stopped for whatever reason. I haven't talked to him about it, but I get it. Life gets serious, and you got a lot of financial burden. If a show goes poorly, I definitely shelled out a bunch of money a few times when a show didn't go well. But speaking of Hatebreed, there was one time I booked them at the American Legion, not the American Legion, the Y in Huntington. And they were literally on the way from Connecticut to, I think, Atlanta or something to start Ozfest. And they just wanted a show to play on the way, and they knew I could hook it up. So they played, asked Jamie what they wanted for money. He's like, dude, I don't care, man. And so I gave him something like $1,000 or $1,500. Now in 2025, I want you to think about how little money that would be to pay a band the size of Hatebreed now. But even then, that was well below their guarantee. It was just like
Yeah.
they just wanted to like have a show on the way, make some money, hang out. They sold some merch, of course, like crazy and stuff. But
Wait,
I
Hatebreed
didn't.
sells merch?
Right, they were selling panties that night and
Yeah.
everything. For real. And anyways, it was great. We had an awesome time. And then I booked the AKAs, Mike Ski from Brothers Keepers rock band, like a few months later, and I paid all the bands well, but the show wasn't well attended. And Mike was like, "You can't give us this money. I know it didn't come through the door." I was like, "You thank Jamie Hatebreed the next time you see him."
Yeah.
And that's what it was. Like it was just like thankfully Jamie also kind of got the situation, and he was nice about it. And like that extra money I made off that, I didn't spend that on anything. I never did. The most I would ever spend if I made money on a show was I went to Dwight's and got some food afterwards.
Yeah, I've
And
never made money. Anytime the few times I made money, I gave it to the local bands for like, especially I would start from the furthest out and kind of give them gas money.
oh yeah, for sure. And that Hatebreed show, everybody got paid well.
Yeah,
Like um I can't remember the details of how much everybody got paid, but nobody got paid less than like I think $150 that night, which as well as I do, a lot of the times when you're a local band, you just don't get paid. I couldn't tell you how many times all through the years of bands I was in, like we'd play a big show and just not even talk about money. Like, yeah, it'd have been cool if we got paid, but at the same time, we weren't busted up about it.
yeah. I think there was only one time I ever made enough money to like pay bands decent, the locals. It was forfeit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh Man. So speaking of Hatebreed, don't
Mhm.
you have a like a thank you note? And is it Perseverance?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I forgot
how'd that
about
come
that.
about? How do you
Just
forget about that? That's like so to me that's like one of the like like big iconic hardcore albums, right? Like
No, it is a freaking big deal. Like, don't get me
okay.
wrong, dude. Okay, so for any like, obviously, I don't know Jamie like super duper well, But back then, Dwayne Hinkle just texted me and said, "You're looking exceptionally hot on my phone screen."
I have a few things to read. Dwayne said, "Oh hi Dana," and then
Hey,
Bryce the
buddy.
artist said, "Hey Dana, it's Richie. Holden
Hey,
Caulfield
Richie.
reunion in 2027 for the 20th anniversary of
Oh,
Hayamp's death?" Question mark?
dude,
Question mark?
I know. Gosh darn it. I've talked about this to certain people and like gotten weepy about it. You know, like
Yeah.
that's how much I would love to do it. But so I posted something on Instagram and somebody was replying to it in the last couple of days talking about this show that we went to in 98 in Cincinnati at Bogarts, and it was Earth Crisis headlined and Madball played right before them. Then Scarhead, they couldn't remember the opener. I was like, it was Hatebreed. And
Wait, in West Virginia,
no,
Madball
no, no,
Scar. Okay,
Cincinnati.
okay.
Um, and we just drove up for the show.
Yeah.
And I won't go into all the details of how insane that night was, but I just walked up to the merch booth and Jamie was running the merch booth. And I was like, "Hey man, my name's Dana. I run this zine and I book shows, and blah blah blah." And he was like, "Cool." Super nice guy, took my number. I think he gave me his number, I don't remember. And that was it. And then I hear from him a couple years later, maybe a year later, and he was a booking agent for Piebald, Saves the Day,
Oh man,
and Newfound Glory.
that's
Like
like
that was a tour package in the late 90s. And he was like, "Can you guys hook this up?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so I get a hold of this dude, Mike Andrick, that I know, and we book it in Wheeling. Great show. Snowed that night.
heck on.
Um, and it was really cool. And then I want to say Jamie sent somebody else my way, and then eventually got a hold of me about booking them, and booked them a few times. Um, saw him as much as I could, and then when Holden Caulfield's Art of Burning Bridges EP came out on Surprise Attack Records, um, back then Jamie used to have like a record of the week or record of the month or something like that, and he actually that was his like record of the week or the month or whatever. And you know, it got big time promo just from being on his site, you know, which I mean, we're super thankful for that, you know. And then like that CD, because that extra hype from freaking Jamie, and then also being on SA Mob, like we ended up selling CDs all over the world. And like I don't know to what level we sold them all over the world, but I know that like EMS would get a hold of me and be like, "Yo, we sent some to Japan, we sent some to Indonesia, and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "How's this happening?" You know, I wrote some of these lyrics just in my car, and you know, it was super surreal. So yeah, and then we played with Hatebreed, you know, once or twice. I think once in the early days. Um, so yeah, that's how I got that thank you note in there.
Crazy that I've never even heard of that show. The when you initially started with coming through West Virginia, that's like Saves the Day through being cool. I list that as like one of my top
Yeah,
five like perfect albums.
it's
Like
because it
start
was
to
Wheeling.
finish. Yeah.
Wheeling's like the other side of the earth to most of us in Huntington and Charleston. You know?
So the world's gotten a lot smaller since then too. I mean,
Well, for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
like the quick version of that story is Mike Andrick, for the most part, hooked that show up. And like, you know, I got a hold of him about it, and somehow or another he booked it there. With us having talked to Jamie. And uh it was at an old, I think it was an old Burger King that had been converted into a bar, and the venue itself was on the second story, and they had those big glass windows that has the arch and goes down straight, and there, you know, used to be tables in that window, but that was now where the stage was. And so we're on the second floor. That's the window behind the band, and then it starts pouring snow in gorgeous downtown Wheeling, and it was surreal. I'm just standing there watching Saves the Day, going like, how's this an experience I'm having right now? You know? And there were 50 people there, maybe. Can you think about that lineup now? How many people would be there? But I mean, that's half of the
Yeah.
shows we're talking about too. Like if you book that now, like it's
Oh yeah, saves the
Huge.
day, newfound glory, Piebald, man. We're talking about them lately too.
Yeah, and
Hey, you're
Killed at
part of
Camp played
this.
too, which is a wheeling band. But um, yeah, like I mean, we played when I was in Black Seas. We played with Newfound Glory at Fred Junior's in Huntington, and it was packed. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it'd have been nice to have that crowd up in Wheeling, but
I
they wouldn't have fit in that venue.
actually think I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I booked Black Seas. It was like me or Dave. Well, David definitely did several
Yeah.
times.
And we were called Heart Holds True when we started.
Oh
Bobby
no,
chose the
I
name.
booked Heart Holds True. Never mind.
Yeah. Bobby chose the
Before the
name
name
because it was
change.
named after a Holden Caulfield song, like off of the demo CD. And then like the more we were a band, the more we talked about it. We're kind of like, on that name. And then Brooke, my wife, was our bass player, and she got pregnant and was definitely going to have to stop playing at some point. And so when she stopped, and then Brian stopped playing drums, we got Dwayne on drums and Cody on bass. We were like, seems like the right time to change the name, even though we're still the same band, at least as far as the same songs go and stuff. And it was Bobby and I and those guys and Nick McCormick.
If I remember correctly, did you guys play a Halloween show as the Left for Dead characters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It was a good show.
That was a good show. I was.
And we
I don't.
we were
I
the
was
only
dressed up
band
as
that
something
dressed up.
wild, but there was a lot of
Yeah.
people in the crowd that dressed up though. Like there was.
Yeah.
I remember. I don't know. I was wearing like a Peter Pan hat and a mullet wig. I don't know what I was going for there, but
I felt kind of like a goober because we were the only band that dressed up, and then it was like a decent sized touring package, and I was just like, oh, but whatever, we had
who
fun.
was on that? Do you remember?
I don't remember, dude. I
I don't
guarantee I have the
either.
flyer, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, I could tell you here within a few seconds, but uh, yeah. At any rate,
So how did you
thanks.
get hooked up with EMS?
So I was a huge Brothers Keeper fan, and um, Uh, like we just met those guys. Like, we ended up talking to him at some shows, and by the way, he commented on my post about this stream, and he was like, "I don't know what Twitch is," and I was like, "I think you just click the link, dude. It's fine." So he'll see me kind of ribbing him about this tomorrow.
Yeah. It'll be on YouTube
Um,
as well, so we'll be promoting the
yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
over him. I'm probably gonna
Oh yeah.
streamline it a little bit, but
So it was us, Forfeit, Steel Nation, Hour of the Wolf, Outbreak, and Death Before
I
Dishonor.
remember that, man. I was so excited about seeing Outbreak.
Oh man, I still wear my Outbreak shirts all the time. That band ruled.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, especially then, like that thrashy hardcore. I was all about it at that time. Man,
Um,
Still Nation too is never bad.
no.
Uh, that's a yeah. It's a.
Um,
But you know what? I remember the fact that you dressed up. I don't remember the fact that no one else didn't. So like that's like
yeah,
iconic to me. I don't know.
shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, yeah. I
There
mean,
needs to be a there needs to be a Left 4 Dead 3 side note. That just needs to happen.
did you play the Back for Blood or was it?
I did. It just didn't grab me the same way. I played it and I beat the game. Like I ended up just randomly hooking up with some strangers on co-op and beat the game, and it was fun, but something about it, like there just wasn't the heart that Left 4 Dead had, which sounds like really stupid, but there was just something missing, you know?
I play Left 4 Dead 2 more than I play that game today. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's just better. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, don't get me talking about video games. I'll get on a big.
I still play Halo like crazy, and unfortunately, like the multiplayer maps for the older Halo games just don't have as many people in them. But I mean, nobody really wants to play Halo Infinite either, and so like you'll wait certain times of the day on certain days. You'll wait 5 minutes for a game to start, but
Put you onto something. Have you ever
yeah,
heard of Splitgate?
yeah, I've heard it's supposed to be good.
It,
The trailer I
some
saw for it looked kind of rad.
kind of like Halo, but you have like these portals, and it has like that heart, the heart that Halo had. Like it grabs you, man. Like anytime I
It
get someone on it, it's like, man,
Yeah, it kind
it's
of gave me like it was almost like somebody said, "All right, we need to have sort of the feel of Fortnite, give it some nice Halo, and then throw Portal in there. Done." you
yeah.
know?
It's I recommend you trying it, man. It's very very
Yeah,
fun.
Need to get off my butt and do that. I'm actually on vacation next week, and we're up in the air about whether or not to leave town. If we don't, I think I'll do that.
So to another chat question, you remember
Oh
about the
yeah,
time you almost died coming back from Brothers Keeper's last show in Erie?
did JX ask about that?
That was JX.
Yeah, hi buddy. Yeah, like there was a freaking light pole down in the middle of the road, and I think Joey Klug hit it, and then we got out and had to change a flat, and we were trying to carry it out of the road and keep other people from hitting it, and I was also trying to not fall asleep at the wheel at different points that night, and like we definitely had to stop at one point. I think we were in Bridgeport. We pulled over, and I just had to sleep in a parking lot for like 15, 20 minutes, and then I was like, okay, on the road again, you know. But we didn't play that show. That was just like BK's last show.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You did ask me something about EMS, and I didn't finish saying what I was going to
Oh yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go through
Uh,
that.
um, so kind of got to know those guys, mostly Mike and EMS, just from talking to him at shows. And I did a brief interview with Mike, um, at one point, which sadly I sent him the video for later on after I used it for what I needed, and then he never sent it back to me. And I would love to put that online because it'd be just something nice to have on the internet, you know. And I've lost touch with him since, but still talk to EMS all the time. And uh, when Holden Caulfield was in its early days, and you know, like I know that any band I was ever in, we always would have the almost like, what if we won the lottery type conversation, but it was like, what if we managed to get on a label, you know? And it was like, what label would you want it to be? And I remember Ryan McCullough, who was our guitar player at the time, everybody called him Mac, and for anybody that knows him, he was like, man, Surprise Attack would be really good. And I was like, it's funny because that's what I was thinking too. Because Surprise Attack is a good sized label run by a real nice guy that has a killer lineup, but they're not like, it's it doesn't feel completely unattainable.
Yeah.
You know, it's not such a big label that they literally would ignore us because we're from West Virginia, you know? And uh and then like we did the demo CD, and then we played what turned out to be Brothers Keeper's third to last show, because like we played this house show with them at this art house in Carlisle, PA, and then they just fell off for a long time, and then they announced their last two shows, which was Erie and then Hellfest. And so we played that house show with them, hung out a bunch that night and that whole day before and stuff. And long story short, like a while later, after HC had done our Art of Burning not Art of Burning Bridges, Beginning of Forever and Ever demo CD, we'd been writing some more and playing some more shows and everything. We were starting to talk about maybe recording semi soon. And then out of the blue, I still lived with my folks at the time. I was outside mowing the lawn, and my mom comes out and she's like, hey, you got a phone call. And it was EMS. And he was asking, you know, hey, would you be interested in being on a label? I mean, it was more of a conversation than that, of course, but that's the part that you're wanting to get at here, you know. And I was like, yep. He's like, well, you want to talk to the rest of the guys? I was like, nope. He's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, dude. And I told him about what I just told you, that we had talked about it. I was like, no, what I will do is call them and they'll be pumped.
Yeah.
And we were. And I mean, like, man, you look at the lineup of that label, so many good bands that like became legendary eventually, you know, especially like Shockwave. I freaking never got to see Shockwave, and I'm still bummed about it. Are you kidding me? A Transformers themed hardcore band?
Yeah.
That's exactly my alley, you know? What you can't see right there is this giant Transformers collection I own.
But you have to post it on the socials now, so people can go look. Uh, did you guys do a lot of touring? Like,
We did a
I
lot of sorry, go ahead.
well, I didn't really get involved in like the hardcore scene till like late 2000s, like 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
So that was like towards the end of Holden Caulfield.
right.
Was there a
We
lot of touring leading up to that?
we did a couple of tours, and then we did a lot of weekend warrior stuff and extended weekend type stuff, you know. Um, but it I even though I would have liked to have toured more, man, the fact that I got to do it at all was the coolest. I
Yeah.
literally, as corny as it sounds, like I told everybody in the van on that first tour, is like 'Cause, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're driving around for hours, you got tons of time to talk. I was like, "I gotta be honest with you guys, you literally are part of a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to tour. I don't care about the level of success the tour has. Yeah, of course, you'd want it to be super successful, but that wasn't the important part. The fact that I got to get in a van and go play shows that were in towns I'd never played in, and sometimes towns I'd never been to, and anybody at all cared that we existed on this earth, and I got to hang out with friends and whatever, like, it was the best. And that was, like, such a big deal to me. And second tour was different in good ways, and then some odd ways, but nothing bad, of course, but still amazing, you know?
Yeah.
And, oh, such a good feeling. Like, I've said
Gotta,
this so many times, but I will tell you right now, like, granted, I know that we're all getting older and we have responsibilities and it's getting harder, but if you have the ability to start a band, especially if you have the ability to start a band and actually record and play some shows and, like, get get a chance to build any level of an audience, even if it's 5 people, it's the coolest experience in the world. Like, I can't equate it to anything else. Like, yes, of course, marrying my wife, having our son, being like an adult surviving in the world, like, those are all pretty amazing things. Um, and those are my favorite things, of course, like, I couldn't trade those 2 for anything. But, oh, being in a band is cool. Like, it's just
yeah.
such an amazing feeling. And, uh, I can trace the whole thing back to, this dude, Lance Moore, giving me a copy of Metallica's Master of Puppets when I was in 7th grade. He's like, "You should check this band out. I can't believe you've never heard them." And I was like, "Okay." I didn't listen to metal or anything back then. And
Oh,
then
so this is like the lore here is probably what kind of got you into kind of
100%.
alternative music, you know?
It is, yeah. And I wore the tape out. That's the only tape I ever owned that I completely wore out. Like, it was so muffled and sounded like such crap by the time I was done with it. But I just listened to it nonstop. And then I got Anthrax's State of Euphoria, which, wow. I love Anthrax to this day. Flip and love them. Like, they had that
Yeah.
weird period where they were writing stuff that did bore me, but that's one of those, like, bands that if I ever would have had the chance to play with them, you would have seen me actively trying to not lose my cool all night long because I'd be on the edge of flipping out, you
It's
know?
interesting because I mean you have like way different come ups. Like I was the wild kid back whenever I was like playing shows or going
Yeah.
on tours and stuff. And I mean you were straight edge, right? I mean,
Yeah.
uh did you I think you're gonna have wild tour stories regardless. Like mine involve like waking up in random people's houses that I don't know where I'm at, which is not fun. Looking, but the time it was scary, but like now it makes for a good story. But do you have any like wild or fun tour stories?
I mean, like, the funny thing is even though there were guys in the band that kind of partied and stuff like that, we kept it pretty tame on tour. Um, the second tour was a little bit rowdier than the first, but it was like literally the first tour was when Brooke, my now wife, played bass for us. She joined the band because we needed a touring bass player, so she toured, and none of us knew her super duper well, but we were all trying to be gentlemen around her, and it did not take long at all before I had a major crush on her. Um, but still, we were all trying to be decent human beings, not be total scumbags the whole time. And so, like, there's aspects of that tour, most of which we were just trying to be decent human beings and not scare the pee out of this poor girl that flew all the way out from Denver, Colorado.
Yeah,
Second tour, she wasn't in the band anymore. And like, she and I had dated for a little while and we broke up and of course obviously got back together and got married and stuff eventually. But during that second tour, we weren't together, and this has nothing to do with girls, just to dissuade anybody from thinking that early on. But so we
oh,
were
I'm
just
sure there's
acting more
people in
like,
the chat that are loving the romantic part of that. Man, you guys went on tour together, and that's
oh yeah,
yeah,
like, you're trapped in a van with this person, you
yeah.
just don't have a choice but to get to know them. And yeah, it was cool. But uh second tour, it was just a bunch of guys being freaking dirty guys, just farting and telling
Yeah,
disgusting jokes and just being the smelliest, awful
yeah.
people ever.
Talking
And
about Dwayne Hinkle, poor Dwayne Hinkle. When we went on tour with him, we destroyed the back of his Explorer, like
did you?
because we were just way too rowdy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was bad. Sorry,
Um,
Dwayne.
I wasn't there. I'm not sorry. But now, like, we played Miami with Target Nevada, and Target Nevada was on Surprise Attack, and they super hardcore Zayo vibes. Like, um, I loved that band too, and it was their
Dale.
last. No, well, yeah, I like
Oh
Zayo a lot too, but
yeah,
like
yeah,
Target
okay.
Nevada,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they they got back together to play a last show in their hometown in Miami, so we would have like a good show too. So it was a double win for me. Like I get to see Target Nevada finally, and there's I guarantee some people have heard this story, but I get to see them finally, and two, they bring in a bunch of people that want to see them, and I think Target Nevada had like some members of Poison the Well and some other bands in it too. I cannot remember for the life of me now. EMS will probably correct me on this, but um, so we play that show. It was packed out. There's people singing along to our songs. I'd never stepped foot in Miami before, so I'm just having this out of body experience while we're playing because I'm just like, how? I know that we're on this label and stuff, but how's this possible? And just like so happy. Talking about it plays absolutely amazing, super heavy, the best. And then one of the guys from, and by the way, I'm telling you, not a super exciting end to this story, but we hang out and talk with everybody. Target Nevada gives us a bunch of merch and takes good care of us and stuff. And they're like, hey, there's these girls over here that are having a party tonight, and they specifically want to party with you guys. And we were all just like, no, we're not gonna do that. We just left the venue and went to the next place. Um, and so we were actually playing the next night in Orlando with 69 Fingers from Charleston, the ska
Know
band
them
from
well.
Charleston.
Yeah.
And they were living down there at the time, and I know some of them are still down there. And we were just going straight to their house, and we knew we were going to get there at some awful hour of the morning, and so we just went straight up there after that show. So it was super chill. Really, the big goal both tours was obviously play shows first, and then hit every beach that we can every day. And so we just went swimming like crazy, and I just had a really great time. Um, Nothing like seriously, it's probably very boring to some people, but I can't recall anything that was all that wild,
Like a
especially
heart.
from me. Like the thing is for me, like being a guy that doesn't drink anything. I'm not into any of that stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. Everybody else can do their thing, but that's not for me. But I was always the guy that like was like, hey, let's take a mattress and throw it in the yard and jump off the porch onto it. Let's get somebody on each other's shoulders and fight, not literally fight, but fight, and just do stupid stuff that could easily get us all hurt, which is why I have a torn meniscus and stuff like that because of just being too rowdy. So my partying was always like trying to get some sort of ruckus started, whereas everybody
Yeah.
else is like, I would rather be chill and drink my beer. And I'm like,
I'll say
okay.
this: it's the straight edge dudes that get you in the most trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I was always kind of trying to, but I couldn't
Yeah,
get people on board half the time.
yeah. It's like
Um,
it's usually the straight edge dude beside me when I'm drunk that makes me do the dumbest thing. Uh,
yeah. Well, like when Brooke and I were first married, she was like, "You're gonna love having a kid, aren't you?" And I was like, "Of course I am." I mean, like there's the obvious answer, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a dad someday. I'm gonna love it." But then there's the ridiculous answer that, "Yeah, I'm gonna love it because now I can act the way I want to in public, and everybody thinks I'm entertaining the kid, and I am, but I'm also entertaining myself." He's 15 now. I will still absolutely just start dancing in the middle of a Kroger store and acting like an idiot because he laughs, you know?
you just man, you saying that he's 15. I remember when he was born. I
Right?
remember when you had that
Look
man.
look at my beard. My
15
beard
is
was
just
my beard was much longer a few weeks ago, and I had to shave it completely off so I could use a respirator to do work in our bathroom because I'm remodeling our bathroom. And so I don't love how I look with this short beard.
I feel like I keep mine short now because the longer mine gets, the more white it looks. Like when it's short, kind of still see some color in there, but
There's
um,
not. any color left in mine, man. There's just not. Sucks. Somebody was like,
Uh,
"Won't you do the just for men thing?" And I was like, "Absolutely not."
I'm the same way. People say the same thing to me, and I'm like, I say like I talk about it. But I'm like, I really don't care that much, and I would feel
No.
dead inside if I'm sitting there brushing color into my beard. I mean, if you want to
And
do it, like yeah, chat, go for it. Do what makes you happy.
right.
But for me personally, I'm just like it would just doesn't feel
And
right.
5 hours later, you've got gray roots anyways.
Yeah,
So
as fast as
that's
my
what you
beard
do.
grows.
Yeah. You dye your hair when you're making a day trip out of town, and then by the time you get back, it's fine because nobody knows the wiser.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really gonna do that. That's the only way it's logical to me.
I saw your post earlier too with the flyers, and someone asked about it. I said, "Did you save all those from back in the day?" Or
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anything I designed especially, like, I still have the original super high resolution version, and then anything that I could keep any if I used my stupid brain and saved things, yeah, I have it, which I have tons of stuff. But anything I booked, I definitely still have the original flyer for. Like, there's actually something 2 things I wanna say. Nasty mentioned to me about getting a flyer from the Hatebreed show that it was his first hardcore show. If
he was
he's
the first.
listening,
He was the first interview on the stream, and he talked about it even then.
yeah.
He's the first
So
person I interviewed.
if he watches this, I have it. I will give it to you. If he doesn't watch this, nobody tell him. I'll just give it to him one day. Okay. But also, the second thing I want to say is, oh my gosh, dude, the stuff that Nasty and that whole crew are doing in Huntington right now with the Huntington Music Collective and everything.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
So like
the
all the
first time
money
I
I
watched
make.
one of those videos, I was so glad I was alone in the room because
Yeah.
even right now, I started welling up a little bit because it just makes me so happy to see it coming back like that. And like, I shouldn't say coming back; it's just back. You know?
Yeah, it's a reminder, chat. Remember, all money that's donated to this stream goes straight to the Huntington Music Collective. Um, that's
I didn't. I didn't
it.
know we
Doesn't
were
even.
taking
It's not even
do
middleman.
that.
It goes straight to them. It doesn't even go through me. So,
Pay
um,
money
yeah, we've raised on the stream alone. We're at 1,520.
on this
Has
stream
been
right now,
on.
or do you mean like on
No,
your
no,
all?
no, no. Since I've started raising money for them.
I was gonna lose my mind. I was like, what? So yeah,
Yeah,
everybody donate to that because like if you haven't seen that, which I'm willing to bet a lot of you have, and a lot of you have probably been to those shows, the videos I've seen are incredible, and they're not just honestly, they're not even close to as DIY as I was. Like they are, but they aren't because like I was sloppy about it. I'd be like, here's 2 can lights and a crappy PA, and I hope everybody has fun, and they did, thankfully, for the most part. These guys are not playing at all. Like they've got lights, they've got a nice backdrop, they've got good sound, like yes, it's 100% DIY, but they're making it look and sound pro. And oh my gosh, like I can't gush enough about this. And when Chum did that reunion show in Huntington, like I've been a fan of Chum since the early 90s or like, whenever they started. I can't remember exactly when it was. And so like when I found out about it, we made it a point to come into town, and then like not long before that I found out there was an all ages show that HMC was doing, and so I made it a point to get over there. But unfortunately the Chum show ran long enough and there were enough people at the Chum show I still wanted to talk to before I got to leave, that I got to the HMC show. I kid you not, maybe one song left from the last band. But I walked in a little bit later and I was like, these guys aren't fooling around. Like this is
wow.
so nice. And I mean, there were a billion people there, and like I walked in the room and it was a flipping sweat box too. Like it was so humid and gross in there, but it was amazing. Like it was. I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, man. That was something I was gonna get to eventually. Was like the what's going on now. Um,
Yeah,
just the resurgence, like because West Virginia hardcore, there's a few bands like keeping strong, but like
yeah,
the where it's at now, it's great to see them pull it together the way they have. I always try to shout out those bands that were like Don't Look Back and Ghost Home and all those dudes,
yeah,
Nuclear Future. Those bands that were playing through the slower times, but now to see
yeah,
a band or a show that's nothing but local fans have like 100 kids in the crowd, that's amazing.
yeah, man. Um, and the thing is, because I mean, again, I'm as old as I am, and I've been around a long time. And one of the things that I've always noticed, and I mean, is this like the gospel truth? No, of course not. But like the thing that seems to be what happens in Charleston and Huntington area is when there's an all ages scene, like when somebody starts booking all ages shows, I should say, and starts working on it and doing a really trying to promote it and get it going and keeping it alive, then you start seeing local bands pop up. Because they realize, hey, I know these guys from my school that play. I should do a band too, so I can play these shows because that would be fun. They may not have any aspirations of being anything huge, but still, like playing a show is fun. And
Yeah.
then two, like you just meet people at shows. Uh, the majority of the people that I know to this day are people I know from shows. And it's I was gonna go see Quicksand and Hot Water Music last year, and I posted a
Interesting.
video of Quicksand, and my Aunt Martha, who is, in her late 70s, early 80s, she saw the video. She's like, "How do you understand what he's saying?" I was like, "Man, this is one of the most mild bands I listen to."
Yeah. And it's
And
oh, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I tried to explain to her because my parents know this, as old as they are, because these bands stayed at our house when I still lived there, and they know the life that I lead and everything else. And I was like, it's so funny to try and explain to somebody that's older. It's like, believe it or not, despite this incredibly harsh delivery, there's so much love and good in this music scene, even from the most negative sounding lyrically, even bands. A lot of those bands still, like, they're just trying to get it out in that song. But then when you talk to them, they're regular people, of course, and a lot of them are just the sweetest people you ever meet. And like I watched one of the interviews that Nasty did, and I've known Nasty since essentially he was a kid.
Yeah.
And seen him come up, and it's like, we're not, I don't mean this in a bad way, we're not close. As much as I love the guy, we're not super close, and that's not for any bad reasons. It's just like, I live here now and everything else. But man, that guy's great. And
Yeah.
seeing these big smiles and like all this excitement on this guy, that if you didn't know him, you would think this guy wants me dead. Now, you and I are used to people that look like they're covered in tattoos and stuff like that, but not everybody is. And I'm willing to bet that the whole chat is used to that. But it's like funny out in the world, people aren't comfortable all the time with that. They are a lot more in 2025, but
It's so funny because with Nasty, he's one of the more passionate people I know, and he's like a big puppy dog. Well,
yeah, I know
he's
what you're
pushing.
thinking.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. You pushing
he's
him.
not a
He'll take up for
yeah, yeah,
himself, but he's not a pushover. But he's like one of the kindest people you meet. You can see it. Not just him too. I mean, Becca, everyone working with HMC. I see Brendan in chat. I've worked with Jamie. I mean, it's all of them. They all everyone cares so much to get this going. And I've been fortunate enough to interview some of these younger bands that are coming through. I interviewed a band a few weeks ago. The youngest person in the band was 16, and
nice.
it's interesting the juxtaposition of talking to like you and Nasty, and like hearing like people talk like passionately about it, like, oh, it's this big thing. But then you talk to the younger people, and it reminds me like, oh, this is why I do this, because these kids aren't looking at this as like hardcore as this magical thing. They're looking at it as, I want to go mosh and listen to awesome bands. Now that that's here for me, I'm gonna run with that, and hopefully they keep it going and it doesn't fall apart. It's great to see, man.
It's I mean, I feel the same way. I want to go mosh and listen to awesome
Yeah,
bands too.
yeah.
But
I gotta be
uh
careful. I went to Todd Down Detroit and got knocked out during Big Boy.
did you really? Oh, that
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. It was
Uh
worth it.
the last show that I went nuts at was Sick of It All a couple years ago, before Lou got, well, I'm sure he had cancer, but before they found out he had cancer and they came
He beat it.
through. Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah,
glad. Sick of It All is another one of those bands that I may or may not stuck with hardcore, or may not have stuck with hardcore if it wasn't for them. I don't know them, to be clear, but like they were just such an amazing inspiration. Yeah, like, that was a couple years ago. And then whenever the heck I saw Converge down here. Like, I'm not going to as many shows these days because, like, so much of it is like I just miss my friends, and that's where I saw them, and that was so much of it. Like, there's certain bands, if they come through, I'm not gonna miss it either. It's like, oh, I've got to go alone, but I'm gonna go. Like, Sumac is coming later this month, and Russian Circles, which not a hardcore band, but still like hardcore adjacent. And then Murder by Death's playing their last show ever here, but none of these are mosh shows.
Yeah.
Anybody younger, I will tell you, not to sound like an old man, but I will tell you, pay attention to what you are in the middle of. And I don't mean pay attention like don't get hurt. Yeah, don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. But try and remember it all. Because
Yeah.
suddenly you're 49 years old and you're talking to a buddy on a podcast about the good old days.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I knew what you said. I knew what you meant as soon as you said that. Like,
Yeah.
when you're in the moment, you don't realize what's happening, and you'll
No.
realize it later. That's why you hear all us old heads talk about hardcore like it's this magic, and you'll understand eventually.
Yeah. I mean, it is. To me, it is. And like when Stretch Armstrong did, we found out they were going to play Furnace Fest, and I didn't make it to Furnace Fest, but then they did that hometown show in Columbia. And it was going to be the first time I ever got to see Advent, and so far it's the only time I ever got to see Advent. And then seeing Stretch Armstrong again after all those years, like, yeah, I danced a lot, but I also just stopped several times and watched. I watched the crowd, I watched the band, try to take it all in because I was like, I don't know how much more of this I'm going to get to do. Not because I'm getting older, but because these bands may or may not continue. And I'm trying to really remember to pay attention every now and then and not just like lose my mind. Granted, then the other thing it's kind of sort of sucks sometimes is like you go see a band like Cave In, who's one of my all-time favorite bands. Nobody dances at their shows, even when they play the heavy stuff, because they're all in their 40s and they're like, I can't run the risk of getting hurt. And I'm like, dang it, run the risk of getting hurt. It'll be more fun, I promise.
So I had a similar moment, man. Like, so no, you haven't seen me in a while. I ended up getting like this weird genetic spine disease that was undiagnosed for a minute. I couldn't walk hardly, like unassisted. I'm a lot better now, but I had a lot of insecurities about going to shows and stuff. And then I was watching Foundation, and Thomas, singer of Foundation, starts going to the speech, and he's like, hardcore is a lot of things to a lot of people. He's like, for me, it's two things. The first thing is it's a way to get your aggression out, and that's all great. But then the second thing is there's something about it that just breathes life into you and makes you feel stronger than what you were. And man, I just it's like a tear dropped down my eye, man. And I said, screw it. And I ran in. And then the next day, all the insecurities were gone. Like,
That's
I
awesome.
was in the crowd. Like, yeah, it was, that made me remember. Sorry, I'm getting choked up. That made me remember what I was missing out on, man. It was, 'cause I've always like still kept up on the sidelines, from home
Yeah.
as a spectator. But man, I won't do that again. So
Yeah.
I
It's like,
forget who had the lyrics. If I rest, I rust.
well, that's
Ah, it
good.
was a
I don't know who that
hardcore
is
band. I
either,
can't
but
remember. I'm sure
I
someone in
get
chat
it.
will remember. If I rest, I rust. And
Speaking of chat, are there any other questions?
yeah, we actually
'Cause we should go through those and I'll try not to go off on tangents too much.
great. One of the
Sorry,
questions was whose
everybody.
car is on the cover of Can't Stop Now.
I don't know. I have no idea. So it looks like, if you look at that picture, that looks like Calgary Boulevard in Huntington. So many people thought that's what that was, and it's not. Um, uh, a buddy got us that picture because he worked for a newspaper at the time, and they had a bunch of pictures that they didn't run in the paper from some specific car wreck. I don't remember the details, and I really wanted a high res picture of a car wreck. And the thing that sucks is I didn't think about it until after it was out. It wasn't meant to be punny, like, nah, you can't stop now, even though you just smashed your car, It wasn't meant to be like that. It was more meant to be, which is fine if people interpret it that way, but it was meant to be like things can be terrible and things can be hard, but you can't stop. And I'm not being anti people's feelings about certain things, okay? But like in my life, like, suicide has never been an option, as bad as things have ever gotten for me, and granted, other people have had it way worse, don't get me wrong. Um, but my approach has always been like, "I can't stop." Um, like, my wife hears it all the time, of course, but, it's just like I try to be trying to keep a positive outlook on things. And even like going through, because we all have our bouts of depression and sadness and worry and fear and everything else. And like even going through that, I try and think, this is going to get better. Maybe not this specific thing, but life in general. I just have to work for it. And it might not be the better that I want it to be, but it will probably be better. And like, yeah, of course, they can get worse. It can always get worse. There can be a rock bottom that you don't realize is coming. Like you were saying, you had some health issues and stuff
Oh,
like, or like any number of things. It can get freaking worse.
oh,
But like,
Dana, you have no idea how wild my life got after you left. I got because of the
yeah,
back stuff. I ended up getting hooked on opiates. 8 years clean. But
I'm glad
it
though.
was a
I
whole
mean, I'm
thing,
glad
man.
8 years clean, obviously.
I'm glad you got on opiates. No, I'm just kidding.
What a day! Hey.
Yeah, you missed out on because you were already in Louisville, I think, when that started for me.
Might have been. Yeah,
But
and it stinks because like I don't ever mean to come across like I've got this blindingly positive outlook and I'm just like everything's gonna be fine. Because man, sometimes it doesn't friggin' feel like it either. But and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I haven't had a very blessed life because I have. Um, like while I've had terrible things and sad things happen to and around me, things that just scared the life out of me. On the other side of it, like things big picture wise have been pretty great, right down to the stuff we're talking about. And I mean, like as silly as it seems, like I do attribute a lot of the good things in my life to like the hardcore and punk scene specifically. Yeah, like out of town, but man, in West Virginia, it was just so good. So
so
many just lovely people.
it's always interesting too because I'm like, you play hardcore for someone who's not in the know or whatever. Like, oh, that sounds scary, and like, oh, this is like tough guy stuff, da da da. But if you really sit and read the lyrics, it's like a lot of hardcore music. Most of it is about persevering and like, yeah, things might suck, but you gotta fight through it anyways, and you're gonna get through this. And even like stuff that's even kind of jokey, like Brody King has that life's hard, be harder, like
Yeah,
it is about getting through it. For the most, a large chunk of it is that. Look at Hatebreed lyrics specifically. They're some of the most
yeah,
positive lyrics you'll read, and
right.
without even realizing it. Uh, that's what it is. It can help you get through stuff because people
Man,
have
and
that mindset.
yeah, and two, like sometimes people go looking for that what they think is going to be a negative outlet, like, oh, this heavy music. I'm just mad and I just want to listen to something mean and heavy. And then like they end up finding the positivity and it ends up helping them. And oh man, that's gorgeous. Like I love that. And like there was a point where like some of the music I was listening to actually was making me angrier because I was listening to some really negative stuff. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna shy away from some of these bands, and I can't even remember who they were now. But and now, granted, I'm a lot more mature, so I can handle it a little differently now. But yeah, like I do love a band that can somehow have the most brutal delivery you've ever heard and still be saying something positive, even even in a negative way, like saying like this sucks and this sucks and this sucks, but it you can work to make things better maybe and try this and do this and we are still here for you together even though you don't know us and we will talk to you and it's fine.
Yeah, I've never seen a
doesn't,
hardcore
doesn't
scene
work
pop
out
up and make
perfectly for
things
everybody.
worse. No, it
No,
doesn't happen that way. We got a
no.
few, okay, a few questions being answered for us. They're answering our questions now.
I bet some
That
of it's
picture.
JX.
I got two things from JX for you actually. So we got from JX. I know exactly where that picture was taken. Right there near the Advance on eastern end of Fourth Avenue.
Nope.
Oh,
That
wrong.
it was in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Arrest I Rust, Down to Nothing, which I should have known that because I frequently list Down to Nothing as one of my top 5 all time hardcore bands.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good lyric.
yeah. And then we got a few statements. Georgie Q says, "Dana,
Oh
love you,
man.
man.
I love
You're on
you,
topic."
buddy.
Said you're on topic or you're on a topic right now that has been very prevalent in my life. You, the scene, the people I met along the way from the scene is why I've been able to get through it. I love you, buddy.
Yeah. George was in a band that you wouldn't think that we would play with. As far as like not because of the people they are, just because of the music they played. And we freaking loved playing with those guys. And I miss the heck out of George, especially George. And he's moved all over the country, man. Like we still tell stories about playing with those dudes and hanging out with them and going out to eat afterwards and everything, and just how much fun it was to be around them, and just sit and talk like this for hours and hours on end until some restaurant's like, hey, you guys gotta go, we're gonna close.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Dwight's was good for.
Yep.
They never
Except they didn't
closed.
close.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can go there and you'd be there forever. Then JX says, tell Dana, I don't have a question for Dana, but I have a statement. I owe so much to him, more than he realizes and knows. His friendship and his music has pulled me through so many dark times. Some he knows about, some he doesn't. For that, I will always love him like the damn brother I never had. He is
Yep.
truly closer than blood for me. Love you, man.
Oh, he quoted a Down to None lyric. Thanks, buddy. I love you. Yeah, I talked to JX on the phone the other night for like 2.5 hours or something. That goober, he'll call me on the phone, and then he'll get to a certain point in his car ride and realize he's going to lose service. So instead of doing what most of us do and going, hey man, I got to let you go, I'm going to lose service here in a second, he'll park and then keep talking for another hour. Last 2 times I've talked to him, he's done that. He sat in Fayetteville, West Virginia for like an hour. I was like, go home, man. I'll let you go. It's cool.
We got another one from So Alone and Forsaken. I know we aren't close, but your band and the way you treated me every time I met you changed the trajectory of my life. And like I said before, Holden Caulfield was the first hardcore band I ever got to see. It was a show at the High Amp. I went with a friend to see Kill Whitney Dead, and seeing Holden Caulfield as one of the openers, I was like, yeah, hardcore.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, like I I can get disgustingly sappy about Holden Caulfield. I have a big Holden Caulfield tattoo on the back of my leg. It's this old school looking Shure mic that my wife gave me for our first anniversary. It's like one of those handheld classic looking mics. I got that and then a banner that says Holden Caulfield in front of it. Kevin did that tattoo back when he was an agent.
I think I saw. I think I've seen it. I worked at
You might
I was there as a receptionist for a while for
No,
Ancient
I was
Art.
gonna say you might have been in the room when it happened.
Yeah, I was a
Um,
receptionist before I was a piercer. A lot of people don't remember that, but I was
yeah,
a Ancient Art kid.
but yeah, like I mean, I said this at our last show, and a ton of people know this, but that's how I met my wife. That's how I met so many other people, and I got to have this crazy opportunity that most people don't. And like, I can't talk about it too much more because I'll freaking fall apart. Because I can feel it just getting about right here. But it's I got to be in a lot of bands, and some of which never got off the ground, and then this one was the one that was like a huge deal to me, and in every way. And then like, yeah, we one of the things that we had that was goofy is we had like too many people in that band, in and out of that band for different reasons. Nothing terrible. Just couldn't play shows as much, or just had too many things going on, going back to college, whatever. And but it was fun the whole time, different levels of fun. And there's these two perfect sweet spots in that band. For that, this chord's driving me crazy. There's two perfect sweet spots in that band for the lineups. Like, not, I mean, for me, not because I have anything better to say about them per se as musicians or people, but it's just like when everybody in the band just really gelled as people and as musicians and stuff. And the whole time I had fun. The whole time I loved it. But man, like that last lineup, I'll go to my grave saying that, like, gosh, what an amazing experience that was for me. You know, like Josh, Nick, Jared, and Bobby, and like the way those guys wrote songs and the way those guys just played and just hanging out with them and stuff. So good, you know? And like I wasn't what stinks is like I wasn't always like super easy going about things because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I tended to be a bit of a perfectionist about certain aspects of that band. And I wish I mean, I'm glad I was in some ways, but there were other things that I held to this level that was stupid and I should have just let it go. And I feel bad about that. And like, I don't, I hope nobody's like upset about anything like that, you know, all these years later, but you know, yeah, if I ever did get a phone call from all of them and they were like, you know what, we should get together. Even if it was like literally we got together and just played in a garage, never said a word to anybody else about it. Hey, that's that's great.
Yeah.
You know,
My new
I,
plan is to slowly interview everyone in Holden Caulfield one by one. Get their heartstrings tugged on a little bit.
yeah. Um, that'd be awesome. Like I can tell you how to reach all of them. Hey, George Q commented on your photo. Looking like a straight up hottie. You're a goober, George. I just literally got a Facebook
Bobby's
notification.
Bobby's already on my wish list, so
Oh, that would
uh,
be hard to hook up. He's
yeah,
Bobby's not on Facebook anymore, but he's on Instagram and you know, I could text him
that'd
too.
be
But
good.
dude,
What'd be really cool is if
Bobby,
we could do a round table and get all of you do it remote. No
yeah,
problem. I could
yeah.
set that up.
Um, when Bobby joined the band in 2004, he lived in Huntington and I lived in Huntington. The rest of the guys lived in Charleston area. And so I'd pick him up. We'd load his crap into my car and we'd drive up to St. Albans. A lot of the time is where we practiced. We practiced at the Brick House actually for a while. Um, we drive up, meet up with everybody. And so Bobby back then was like really quiet and I would talk him to death. And then like I don't know what happened, but when we did that tour in 2000, maybe he joined in 2003, but I'm 99% sure it was 2004. Um, but when we did that tour, then we got to know Bobby really well, and he started goofing off and being one of the most hilarious people I've ever met in my life. And like now, every time I tried to do a band after that, I was like, got to figure out how to get Bobby involved in this, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just because I love hanging out with the guy. So, and he like when he came back to West Virginia for a minute, and Nation needed a bass player because I was in this thrash band called Nation. Um, he was into playing for us, even though he's a guitar player, you know. But it's not a hard transition to make. But at the same time, we were like, yes, we'll take it, you know, because I just got to hang out with Bobby a bunch more. I was thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, it's you. It's awesome how highly you speak of everyone from that band, man. It's really interesting reading the chat too. Just like the impact you've left on a lot of people, dude. It's kind of really good to see. I
It's
don't think I've
it,
ever heard anyone say anything negative about you, which because there's a lot of
yeah,
people are negative somewhere.
yeah. I mean, man, I'm not going to sit here. Like I could point out a ton of flaws about myself, and I could point out some of the things I said or I did in front of people that I just hate that I did or said or whatever. Um, I'm thankful that maybe people forgot about that crap or just didn't see it in the first place. But I mean, I like I was raised in church and everything, and still go to church and was taught like treat people the way you want to be treated and like while I fell off at times badly like any human would, I tried to live by that, and so I try to be a good guy, and I don't always make it, and boy, I've got a dark sense of humor that turns into a lot of jokes at a lot of people's expenses, you know, just because it's funny in the moment, but I try not to do stuff like that. I really, if I ever have any impact on anybody, I want it to be good, you know? And the fact that anybody even cares all this time later, like even if it was two people, man, that's cool, you know? Um,
Yeah. As soon as I saw you come in the Discord, I was like, here's my chance. Which I know I could reach out to you. I've reached out to you about several things in the past, like regarding like bleeding eardrum and just random questions I would have, and you've always answered.
yeah, man. No, I mean, like, I like talking to people. I mean, that's how we've been on here this long anyway. I just love talking to people and catching
Yeah,
up and everything. The funny thing is I've been trying to not ask you questions about like your programming background and stuff like that because I know you're supposed to be asking me questions, but at the same time I have a tendency to just be like, "Hey, could we go way off topic?"
we can get that a little bit towards the yeah. What time was your? I'm gonna cut this out of the YouTube video. What time was your heart out? Like not a
I
heart
mean,
out, but
if I
you had
go to
more.
bed by 12:30 tonight, it's fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that now. Which
And you
we're
were
not
like,
gonna go that way.
"That's absurd. We're not going to talk that long." Which is fine.
Well,
I
we're a
don't.
minute. We're a
Nobody's
minute,
watching
or
that.
we're an hour 40 in, and I haven't even asked you like the standard list of questions that I have that I ask everyone.
Do you
We
want
haven't
to
even got to those yet.
again shotgun blast those things at me, and I'll answer them quick and
They're
dirty? Or do
not
you
gonna
want?
be shotgun. They're not gonna be shotgun blasts. I'm gonna tell you right now because they're gonna be hard. They're gonna be hard to answer questions.
Okay.
Who's on your West Virginia hardcore Mount Rushmore?
Ooh, do I choose four? Because that's
Everyone
Mount.
goes five, it seems like, but the four is how many people are. It should be.
And that's tough, because like uh I've been around a long time and it's not always all hardcore either. But like the Minus Tide's one of my favorite bands of all time, and
I meant
people don't
DIY.
necessarily.
I meant
Huh?
DIY. I said hardcore. I meant DIY.
Okay, okay. But like the Minus Tide is straight up one of my favorite bands, period. Not just like from West Virginia, they're from Wheeling. I was fortunate enough to book their first show too. I bugged them because I was like, when are you guys gonna be ready to that new band? Hey, I got this show I'm gonna book in Wheeling. You guys want to play? Actually, it was in Moundsville. And I just bugged them and bugged them until they played. They're like, we don't have that many songs. I was like, it's fine. They're like, well, we don't know how good it's going to be. I was like, I know you guys well enough to know you're killer musicians. It's going to be good. And it was. It was great.
Yeah, play one song
Um,
twice.
yeah.
I had a friend that went and saw Big Boy. They played Spades 3 times.
Sadly, we lost Mikey a few years ago. Like, I think it was 2 years ago. And, but yeah, man, I love the Minus Tide. And gosh, as far as I don't think I can pick just four or five even because like I mentioned Dirt Bear earlier, they were one of those bands that like they would literally be playing something, same song by the way, sound like Nirvana, and then suddenly it sounded like Crowbar. And you're like literally just kind of like sort of bopping your head back and forth, and now you're just dancing hard. And then sometimes they would even use the same vocals over top of that super heavy part. I don't know how they pulled it off, but it worked. 3-member band too. And they had no right to be as good as they were, at least in my mind, like being as good as they were to me. They had
Yeah.
every right to be that good. You know what I mean? But they didn't play out of the Charleston Huntington area very much, but and I loved hanging out with those guys too. Um like them, I always loved Law Abiding Citizens from Morgantown and just sweet dudes. Jeff is still super involved in stuff up there. Before I was the second singer in that band, Malicious Intent, they were the first time I saw them, they were a straight up death metal band. And then they sort of evolved to get a little bit more like hardcore aspects. And then they evolved a little bit more and then started sounding like a little bit new metal. Um, and but still like very heavy, very like metal. Um, Oh man, the thing that sucks is every time I think about this stuff and I start talking about it publicly, I'm like, who are you going to forget and look like a jerk in front of, you know?
So here's the thing that we should always preface: this list can change daily.
Yeah. And here's the thing, every band I've just listed to you, I still listen to. I mean, like
Yeah.
there's no bands that I used to listen to that I don't occasionally like every CD back there. Like I said, that's not all of them either. They go back there too and stuff. All of them are on my computer and I carry them all with me. And sometimes I'll just randomly be like, man, I need to listen to Stab Your Face. And I will. And 69 Fingers, like again, another band you wouldn't expect us to play with, and like I loved hanging out with those dudes. We had so much fun with them. And like I used to run up every show and take a selfie with Brian Jett while he was playing. And of course, like I mentioned Chum earlier, and Chum was a big part of why I started kind of being like I should be in a band. you know? Um man, I don't know. That's at Holden Caulfield's last show. I wish I still had this playlist. I created a playlist on my iPod that was nothing but West Virginia bands, and that played over the PA all night long. And it was kind of a nice way to do the whole thing, just like hearing these people that I kind of came up around and admired and just enjoyed. Some of which weren't bands that I knew, but most of them were bands that I knew, or at least was acquainted with. So yeah, some buddies from Parkersburg area were in the 11th Plague, and they were so much fun to play with. Dude, I mean, I could just go on and on and on. This could be a different podcast. You're right. I can't
Yeah.
I can't just like blast this quick and
You
dirty.
can't, because the next question's even harder to do that with, I think. But
Oh man. Subject to Change is another one. Subject to Change, if it weren't for them, Holden Caulfield wouldn't have existed, because I wanted to do Holden Caulfield. I talked to Sheldon about it, and he was like, hey, why don't we just be your band? We can be Holden Caulfield. So literally all three dudes that were in Subject to Change became the band for Holden Caulfield, and I sang and Sheldon didn't sing. And then Shay, the bass player at the time, bailed day of our first show. We don't know what happened. And since then we know, and he's okay. Everything's fine. But he just disappeared, and we couldn't find him the day of our first show. So we played our first show as a 3-piece with no bass player, because I can't play and sing. It's just not in my list of skills. And then we played the American Legion of Charleston the first night, and then we played the YWCA and Huntington the next night. And we played 3 songs. We were supposed to play 4, but one of them was super bass reliant, so we just chucked it. And so yeah, Subject to Change is another one, man. Amazing punk band from down south.
how far south we talking? I don't know if you noticed that.
Boone
I'm from
County.
Mingo County. That's where I'm from originally, is Mingo County.
Yeah. Pritchard's from Boone County and stuff. So like, and he played drums for them. Yeah, Pritchard was in the band essentially twice, because when Subject to Change was the band, he played drums, and then they basically quit because they were starting to tour a lot more, and they just weren't going to be able to do a second band that wasn't the main focus. And then he joined the band years later and rounded out that final perfect lineup.
You say in Boone County reminds me of one of the random times I reached out to you was to ask you if you had saved a copy of Food.
I have it on my computer.
You do?
Oh yeah.
You have it on Bleeding Eardrum. Yeah, you gave it to me. You're like, yeah, here.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I did.
No, I played it on stream actually. I was like, this band was something. There's some wild lyrics. Yeah. You ready for the even harder question?
Yes.
What are your top 5 hardcore albums? Might not even be possible, and I know that changes. Mine changes often. I think my number 1 typically says. Also, I want to say this just because Holden Caulfield is always on my West Virginia Mount Rushmore. It's like the one band that stays there. And I think I've added Valmont to mine because what they're doing, I think, is massive.
That's fair. By the way, the fact that those guys blew up the way they did is so great, like just makes me happy. So Sick of It All is one of those bands that I kind of just freaking lose my mind about. Like when in 2015, before I realized I was getting a job in Louisville, Zach McLean, Joe Klug, and I were supposed to go to New Jersey to this thing called Nate Fest, and it was Nate from Ensign. It was a benefit show for him, and it was like 3 days long, insane lineup. And what it boiled down to is, out of this whole lineup that we were psyched to see all the bands, but like I knew that Sick of It All, Indecision, and Grade were playing. And I hadn't seen Sick of It All in years at that point. I I know Grade hadn't been playing hardly at all, so I wasn't gonna miss them, and I hadn't seen Indecision in years either. So, I was like, "You guys wanna drive 14 hours to New Jersey?" Bought our tickets, then I got this job. No, I think it was 11 hours, but because of me coming from here, because I got this job and moved to Louisville, I was driving like 14 hours. So, within 2 weeks of me coming to Louisville, I had to spend one of my weekends that would have been with my family, who was still in Huntington, up in New Jersey with a couple of my dopey buddies going to a hardcore show. So it's like Sick of It All is one of those bands that like I sometimes struggle with which album is my favorite. Um
Yeah,
but I'd
that
say Scratch the Surface is probably real close to the top. Man, everything they do is just kind of untouchable. Ancient Shores is
actually
another band I should have mentioned on my Mount Rushmore, by the way. If you haven't listened to them, freaking change that tonight.
Ancient Shores.
Yep.
Check it out.
One of their guitar players is a guitar tech for uh how am I spacing on his name? The guitar player from Rage Against the Machine. I see his name
Oh,
online almost every
Pomerello.
day. Thank you. Jeez, how did I forget his name? Yeah, he's one of his guitar techs. Um, but that's not the point. Ancient Shores is awesome. Um, but man, specifically hardcore albums. Unholy, Awaken to Sleep. They were a band that was built up of members of bands that were probably bigger than they were, and they should have been huge because their music was so rad, and it was kind of like crossover thrash hardcore type stuff, and then lyrics were about like the name of the band was Unholy because it was about it was this overarching story of like this unholy world and this like these witches and creatures and all this other stuff, and it was like some real Lovecraft type lyrics, and gosh, it was good, man. It was so good. And so like that's way up there. Um like I cut my teeth on metal stuff. And so I always want to revert back to that, but still like as far as hardcore goes,
Actually, just ordered a Sick of It All baseball jersey here recently.
oh nice. Dude,
Yeah.
they play when they played down here a couple years ago. It was one of those shows that I always like there's a handful of shows that I've gone to that I'll warn Brooke beforehand. I was like, be ready. I'm about to hit our bank account with a major blow. And Sick of It All was one of those. Like I didn't even have to tell her. She just knew I was gonna freak out when I got there. And I got there and I thought all their merch was like really ugly, and I didn't buy a single thing. I almost bought something just because I love the band and I wanted to give them extra money and stuff. And then I thought I don't want to buy a shirt that I don't really want to wear.
Yeah.
And I've done that 2 or 3 times, like gone to shows and just didn't like the designs on anything. And it always kind of bums me out a little bit because I'm like, oh, I feel bad, you know. I want to do something, but I don't technically owe these guys anything. I do,
Yeah.
but I don't, you know. Um, Brothers Keeper, Sweet Revenge, super big deal. That was the first BK I ever heard, and just flipped out about it. Um, the first time I heard Burn It Down, it was Eat, Sleep, Mate, Defend, that EP. Which, speaking of crossover stuff, like they leaned hard on the metal side of things in a way, but they definitely fit in with the hardcore crowd. And then like they did their only full length was called Let the Dead Bury the Dead. And I really liked that a lot too. But man, that Eat Sleep May Defend EP. That's a lie. The first time I heard them was the Race Trader split that they did called Make Them Talk. And the 2
Race
songs that they have
Trader.
on that. Yeah, 3 songs they
That's
have on that just smash your face.
Chad. A little bit of lore for you. For those who don't know who Race Trader is, that's where Pete Wentz and Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy used to be in Race Trader. Like a
And
hard. Who else am I missing?
no, I was gonna say, and it's not the same kind of music at all.
No, not even close. Yeah, they do not sound like Fall Out Boy. They don't even sound like they
Heavy
would
hardcore.
heavy hardcore. They're still going, right? Like the other people that were.
Yeah, they kind of got back together.
Yeah.
And really good. Early Bury Your Dead, like amazing. By the Grace of God's perspective is insanely good, like more on the punk tip of things. And like By the Grace of God's been around since the 90s, and I've seen them this year because they're from Louisville. And like they just randomly, not randomly, they promote it and stuff, but they play these shows and they don't like there's a good amount of people there, but like it still feels like a local show, especially because like I'm not from here originally, so I don't know those guys. I don't know a lot of people here, but they know practically every single person in the room, you know? So it feels the way we feel being at a show in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it more fun, you know? Um, and as far as hardcore goes, how many did you tell me to give? Because I know I've already given more.
Five.
Yeah,
Five.
probably given more.
How
Um,
many? How many we have? You got Sick of It All, Unholy. Uh, who else did you say? I can't
By the
ever
Grace of
remember.
God, Bury Your
Yeah.
Dead.
Oh yeah, you gave him Brothers Keepers.
Yeah, I was about to say Cave In. I could keep going, man.
It's
Like,
hard. It's another one. My list changes often. I'm a huge like Cold World. They usually stay on my
yeah,
list pretty steady, and then
yeah,
like everything behind it kind of Foundation, and then stuff
yep.
kind of flip flops after that. But
And then like in the last 5 years or so, I really got into Advent, and one of those bands. It's like, man, this is amazing. Like, it's so freaking heavy. And then they're like, oh wait, here's a new EP that's the heaviest thing you've ever heard, you know?
yeah,
Then like they just announced another EP that I haven't heard yet, but like somebody in the comments when they announced it was like, I don't know how you keep sounding angrier, but you've done it. So apparently that guy's heard it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I could keep going. There's
So,
too many. And I mean,
well,
that's one of the like neat things about being around so long too, is like I just have all these bands that I kind of lose my mind about, you know?
like you're like the first like the old head that didn't put
Yeah.
Hatebreed on their list.
I was getting there. You gotta give me a
Yeah, yeah,
second.
yeah. Right. Wait, just what's the best Hatebreed album?
Satisfaction.
Yeah, Satisfaction. Okay, so you're
That's why I
in.
said it that way. It's like you can't, it's not a question.
But you're in. Your name is etched into Perseverance, right?
So Perseverance is amazing.
Great
I
album.
just I wish the production was a little bit more raw on it.
Yeah, I have to.
Because like not a diss against anybody, but I think that super polished production definitely takes away the rawness. I was talking to I think it was Brian Patterson last night. I mean, I know I was talking to him last night, but I think he's the one I said this to because I talked to him for a long time last night. I talked to JX for a long time the night before, but I think it was Brian that I was saying this to. Early Alkaline Trio, you know, if you like Alkaline Trio, Early Alkaline Trio is amazing. And you can hear mistakes in the recording. They're really subtle. And you might not hear them if you don't have them on headphones, but they're there. But you listen to anything they've done in the last 10 years and it's super polished. And if it were just a little bit more raw recording without all these extra punching things in and out and muting things when it didn't need to be muted and taking out that one little slide on the strings and taking out that tiny little noise in the background and that echo from the ride cymbal going too long and stuff like that, man, leave those things in because that just a little bit of mess in the production gives it life, you know, a lot more than it would have otherwise. And absolutely not a diss against freaking Hatebreed at all. But I do wish that production on Perseverance and pretty much everything after that was just a little bit more raw.
Yeah, I'll say, Hey Breed, they haven't put out a bad album.
No.
But Satisfaction is the rawness of it. I agree with you completely. Like the production quality. So like you heard me talking about Saves the Day earlier. Like that's kind of what happened with their music. That Through Being Cool album has this like rawness to it.
Yep.
Goes away. You mentioned Alkaline Trio. I fully believe. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
It's the
And like,
imperfections that make music better sometimes, or make it
yeah. And you,
not even better. Just it has a soul. Like
yeah. And you can go too far the other way, of course. You can make it too
yeah,
much of a mess, way too
yeah.
lo-fi or whatever, you know. But there's a nice balance somewhere in there. So yeah.
What are there any like current hardcore bands you're listening to? Like, because the scene, not just in West Virginia, but everywhere, has seen kind of a resurgence popularity.
Um, Yeah, so this is kind of a weird one for me. Um, because the weird thing, this is going to sound kind of crappy, and I don't mean for it to. A lot of the younger bands grew up listening to new metal, and you can
Yeah.
hear that new metal tinge in the hardcore they're playing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like new metal very much at all, you know. And and it's not a diss because like a lot of these bands are still really good. But there's just like something about this tiny little new metal tinge that kind of turns me off about some bands, you know.
Have
But
Have you listened to Monforce?
yeah, yeah, I saw them.
I feel like they'd be like right up your alley. It's like kind of thrash.
Yeah, they're
But
really good.
yeah,
They when Indecision played here, 2019, 2018, I think it was 2019. Went to that show and Mindforce played too, and they were great. That
yeah.
was a Knocked Loose CD release show, and I'm not into Knocked Loose.
I'm not even. Those kids are great. The way they represent the way they do, but it's not.
Yeah.
Now their
But
side project X Weapon or the side project Weapon X.
Weapon X, yeah. Um, but yeah, we went to see Indecision, and then we watched all the opening bands, and then like went outside and talked to the Indecision guys for a bit, and then just like, you want to go get some pizza and donuts or something like that? And we just took off. But the funny side note about that is Knocked Loose played the Headliners Ballroom that night, which is I think like a 500 capacity venue, maybe less. And then the next CD release show they did was at the old Foresters Music Hall or whatever the heck it's called, and it's like a giant venue. And I was like, yeah, it's big boost in popularity there, fellas. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's weird because like I feel kind of stupid about it, but I've sort of accidentally fallen into a little bit of that old man thing where it's just like I like what I like, you know, and I forget to check out new bands. And most of the new bands I got into back in the day were because I just saw them open up for somebody or something like that, and ended up falling in love with a lot of bands that way. And because I'm not going to as many shows, I'm not seeing as many new bands, which sort of sucks, you know. I mean,
Of
it's on
another
me.
band.
It's not like it's not my fault, you know.
I just thought of another band that you need to check out. They're out from out here in Florida. They're called Collateral. Definitely some like punk hardcore, like
Yeah,
super cool, man. Like
yeah.
how they're kind of bringing that sound back. And I'm like, do this. Let's do some more of this stuff.
Message me about that later so I
I
don't freaking
will.
forget.
I will send it to you.
Um,
They're kind of up and coming a little bit.
yeah. I got big into Power Trip. I mean, I know Power Trip's been around a long time now, but I got big into Power Trip probably 2 years or so before he passed away, and I was just like, "No!" You know, like, obviously, no, this poor guy's gone now, but also, no, I'm never gonna get a chance to see that lineup, you know, like, from a totally, like, not serious viewpoint. It's like, it sucks, I'm never gonna see that lineup, but I do hope they, like, really get it up and going again because, like, I know they were going to. Here recently, they've talked about it in the last year and a half or so, and they played a couple of shows and stuff, but I have no idea what's really going on with that band, but I'd love to see him do more. But I mean, he was so much of it. His voice was great, you know?
We did have another question in chat asking
Yeah.
about is Cornzine archived anywhere?
So if they
Oh,
mean
someone did
the
answer it.
okay, it's not. Well, you can use the internet.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah, you can use that and find some of it, but it's hit and miss what's really going to be there. So the hard copies I used to do because it started out as a physical, you know, photocopied zine. Um, 2025 Dana would get canceled for some of the stuff that's in there, not because I was deliberately being awful, just because like mid 90s we just said bull crap and
Yeah.
we didn't mean it the way it's might read in 2025, you know. Um, and I haven't looked at them in years. So on the physical copy, we used to always have all these dumb questions at the very end of the back page. And I read one of those recently and I was like, this is awful. Like it was so bad. And it was like really like you have to be in our inner circle of friends to know what half of these things mean. And in 2025, I'm not in that inner circle of friends anymore because I don't remember what half of that stuff is talking about. And so just a lot of it just didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
But I've always been like super duper hesitant to scan those and put them on the internet because I didn't want somebody to look at it and go, "Oh, well, these guys, I can't believe they would say this." It's like, well, yeah, dumb teenagers say dumb teenager things sometimes, you know? And like I will say, teenagers in this day and age are a lot more self aware about the things that they put out in the world, in some cases at least, than we were, you know?
Yeah. Even my generation, like, I
Yeah.
cringe at some of the stuff I've said back in the day. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, and behind closed doors, like I definitely have friends that'll say some insane stuff that's probably hilarious and they don't mean it in the way it sounds, but it's like better than to just go, ah, let me post this on Twitter, you know?
yeah, yeah.
X, sorry, X, Elon.
I refuse. It's still Twitter to me.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, don't even get me started. I used before I started doing this at one point. What got me kind of known on Twitch? I used to be a political streamer.
Oh
So,
yeah.
oh yeah, and
I,
very toxic thing to do. I would recommend it.
not good for your health, bud.
No, 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 not at all. It's
It's
pretty bad.
you could be in a room of people that do nothing but agree with you, and I still maintain that it's not good for your health.
Yeah,
No.
just still find something to argue about.
Yeah.
Um, I think that you could make a really good like book with like everything that you've archived. With like, have you seen the Floor Punch book?
You cut out, what'd you say?
Have you seen the Floor Punch book? It has like all the old flyers and like stories from shows and things like that.
No, I haven't. I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
You could make something like that, man, and I think it would be great, and I think people would want it. And I don't know,
Man,
it's a lot of
I
work, but
this dude Brandon McCoy, it's from Huntington. I haven't seen him in years and years and years, but at one time he said to me, he's like, "Man, I'd love to see all your old flyers." I was like, "Dude, I've got them. I mean, I've got stacks of them." And like anybody, when you first move to a place, a lot of things get their inboxes and you forget to where they went, and then you finally run across them years later. And like I found a few things that I accidentally just put somewhere else in the house, in this house. I found them early this year or late last year, something like that. There's just hundreds more flyers, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know I had these." And it made me so happy, just flipping through
bet
them real slow, just like, "Oh, I remember this, and I remember this, and these people went with me to this show," and whatever it was. Just like really, really good memories, you know?
it would just be like it'd be such a cool thing that you could do where you post a flyer and tell like a little story, maybe a paragraph, or like a picture of a T-shirt of like a local band. Tell like a little
Yeah,
story that you remember from that. Like it would be it's such a great time capsule that
yeah.
even if one copy existed, it would be. I think the world would be better for it. But I think that you could probably get out a few more than that. People would want it, man.
In 2020, when we basically had nothing to do, there for a while, I was posting a picture of like the front of my T-shirt every day, just because I have hundreds of T-shirts that I still wear all the time. And to be fair, that's probably part of the reason that a lot of them still look brand new because I might wear it twice a year, because I've got all these other ones, and it's just because I've collected so many over the years. And I still buy T-shirts all the time, like especially mostly when I see a band live. Um, and that was fun. And like when I found all those flyers, I thought, man, I feel like I should share these with people. I did get an original of the time that I booked Thursday, and I gave it to Dwayne. Because like he freaking loves Thursday, and I knew he'd be happy to have that. So he happened to be in town working, and we met up at Gaddy's and got some delicious buffet pizza and hung out for a while, and I gave him that flyer. But yeah, like got a lot of stuff, man. Like I've always been kind of a nerdy collector. The funny thing is the reason I don't drink and stuff like that is because addiction runs hard in my family. Not my immediate family, like nobody in my family drinks or anything like that, like my parents or anything like that. But grandparents on back, whoo buddy, the alcoholism and the pill popping. from different people here and there was kind of gnarly. And so I was just like, hey, you know what? I don't need in my life that. And so I tasted stuff when I was a teenager and I was like, this isn't my vibe. I'm not gonna do this. I never got drunk. I just tasted stuff. And then last time I did it was my 18th birthday. I just tasted something. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just didn't. And but where that you could call it addiction if you really want to, where that came out was I collect things. And not like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna freak out if I don't have that. But I like to have it. And that's why that collection there is so big. That's why that movie collection's so big. That's why there's Transformers over there. I have so many of those, you know. I'm thoughtful about when I buy this stuff. I don't spend a zillion dollars on something because I gotta have it. I'm frugal about it. Otherwise I couldn't pull it off. But and then I also it's always in the back of my mind, somebody someday is gonna want to see this crap, you know? So I've even thought about like, do I just start sharing this junk on my Instagram or my Facebook, or do I start a website for it or something? And I thought, I mean, I still own the Cornzine domain. Maybe I could just do that. And Brooke has been on me about starting another podcast where I basically just talk crap like this all day. And she's like, I'd love to do a podcast with you. And I was like, well, yeah, that'd be awesome. If there's anybody on earth that I can talk to for hours on end, it's that girl up there that was a sucker enough to marry me. So, you know, uh, but it's a matter of like deliberately starting to set aside the time to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It
I
was
just
hard
think,
when I actually did do Cornzine. Like, because there were sections of time where it was, sorry, I hit the mic. There were sections of time where it was just me. So it was hard to actually make myself set aside the time to actively write reviews, do an interview with somebody or whatever. Like, it was fun too, man. Like, I miss it. And I think I could have done a lot more with it if I'd have just not gotten in my own way about it, you know?
man, if you ever want to get a website going and you need help, I'm pretty, as you know, pretty tech savvy. I'm working on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
current project. I'm actually making a hardcore themed video game.
My gosh.
I actually got to meet up with the Marauder, the manager of Marauder, and those dudes. And the main
Yeah.
boss of the game is going to be Master Killer Samurai, and it's all done in
It's
like
gonna be rad.
yeah, it's all done in like bit graphics, like a Streets of Rage type game.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude.
a lot of
I'm gonna have
hardcore cameos in there.
That's gonna be super fun.
I'll send you some
Uh,
pictures of some of the stuff I've worked on so far. It's coming
please
along.
do. If you need any beta testers, myself and our boy are your guys. He might not
Yeah,
get any of the references, but he'll play the heck out of the game.
I don't want to say who yet, but there's a pretty decent sized hardcore podcast that I might actually brand under to release it. Cool.
That would be
But
really cool.
with big things coming. But yeah, as soon as it's ready to be tested, I'll send it your way for sure.
Yeah,
Be an
for real.
honor.
I'd love to do that,
I know
man.
I've always
Love
known you
beta.
as a gamer, so
Yeah. Well, and like that naturally like leads me to talk about this band Last Level I did for a second with some guys. And you know Bobby was in that too. It never really got off the ground the way I wanted it to. Um, but that was a hardcore band, like more like metallic than hardcore necessarily, but and it was all nerdy lyrics, man. You
yeah,
know, because to me, like, yeah, hardcore can be super serious, you know, big and tough or whatever, but also a lot of hardcore is just about girls, let's face it. And I thought, you know, something I'm passionate about is Transformers and GI Joe and sci-fi movies and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Like I should scream in people's faces about that stuff. And just different aspects of that band, it just never really got off the ground the way we intended. And it sucked because I kept trying to like keep it on some sort of life support. And finally I was like, I guess this isn't going to happen, you know? Because the older you get, let's face it, like it's hard to get a bunch of dudes together to play music because we all have adult things going on. I mean, I've mentioned that several times, you know. I am if it ever came down to a band, I could make the time to do that. But I think that therapy would do me some real good in the world, you know.
I'm currently working on a hardcore little 5-song thing, but I'm doing it all by myself. Isn't as fun,
Yeah.
but it's fun. It's been fun. It's been
Hey,
kind of cathartic.
Andrew WK started as one dude, and then he got all these guys, and it became what it became, you know? And
Yeah,
I know that's not a hardcore band, but whatever. Sometimes it takes recording that demo to start getting other people to go, "Man, dang, I would like to play on this," you know? I was just talking to Ryan Vickers about that sort of thing today. Um,
Vickers. I've heard that name in a minute. Love that dude.
yeah. Yep. He and I were in Nation together, and, love to do another band with him, you know? Talk about somebody that likes metal. That guy writes some insane riffs.
Yeah,
He's a turd, though. He'll never hear me talking about it, how rad he is on here.
I don't know if he comes around or not. There's a lot. There's a lot of names that I don't know that came for this. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I talked to Ryan today. He and I both get off work around the same time, and a lot of times he'll call me when he's leaving. And yeah, it's it's been a good week for talking to old friends, you know. And it's like everybody I've mentioned, I do try and talk to semi regularly, but
that's
I love checking in through text or messenger,
that's kind of
Twitter,
the
or
thing that
whatever. But
happened with me with this like HMC stuff. Like when I got
yeah,
clean, I kind of like disappeared, like very in a very unhealthy way, like from everybody.
yeah,
Not just people who did drugs, people who didn't do drugs. Like I guess there's like a maybe some shame there, some insecurities, and this HMC stuff pops up, and then like I start talking to people, and they're like, "Dude, where have you been?" They're like, they're like,
yeah,
no one's ever like a lot. There's a lot of people, and I didn't realize my reputation was the way that it was. Or like, yeah, no one ever says anything bad about it, talking about. So
yeah.
I've been reconnecting with so many people these last few months, and it's like there's like you should watch the Nate stream. Go back and watch that on YouTube. I think there's like several points where we both start crying, and like it's like a two like big tattoo dudes just crying on stream.
Yep,
It's kind of funny,
yep.
but
Um,
it's been great reconnecting with people.
Man, and the truth is I've known a lot of people that used to be hard into some stuff and they got cleaned up. And anybody that's true decent friend will be happy for you that you've gotten your life on some level of a good track, you know? And like even if you relapse, a lot of those people will still be there. Like, Lord willing, you're not going to do that. But like it's even if you did, a lot of people will still be there being like, "Hey man, do you need something? What went wrong? Whatever, you know." Like there's a guy that I don't know him well anymore, but he was posting a lot of stuff on Facebook that was actually, this has happened for with closer friends too, like kind of depressing stuff. And I'll message him every now and then and be like, "Hey, I'm here. Like, I know we don't talk much anymore, but I'm freaking here. Like, I'm happy to talk to you. I don't care what you've said or done or whatever in your life that you're scared or worried or depressed about. I'm not going to judge you for it." It's like, if you just need to get it off your chest, get it off your chest. And if you are trying to turn your life around, hey, let's talk about that too. Because like, I just want to support you, you know? Not to mention, I just love catching up with everybody because I don't get to do that much these days, you know?
Yeah,
Um, so I think it's a good thing. To anybody that ever like feels that way, whether it was for something dumb or embarrassing you did, or, drugs or whatever, don't be embarrassed. Like, go back to your friends. They miss you, you know?
yeah. Um, this is my little PSA for people because I'm very open about my drug use. Uh, I think it's a silver lining if people can get help by me talking about it. And now I
Yeah.
have like a whole new perspective of don't retreat into yourself because like getting clean was great, but reconnecting with oh man, try not to cry. Reconnecting with a lot of you guys has affected me so much more positively than a lot of you guys will ever know. Because I kind of felt forgotten. You know what I mean? So it's good stuff, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a even
Agreed.
people being here watching this right now is two you know two dudes
Yeah.
just talking about hardcore, man. But
Yeah.
man, that was a great interview. I don't know. I'm out of
Dude,
questions. We could keep yapping.
I'm
as
happy
much
to
as you
catch up
want.
with you. It's
Yeah,
good. Did we miss anything in the chat?
that's what I
I
say.
haven't looked
Chat.
at the chat at all.
You guys asked a question and I did not ask it. Right now would be a great time to repost it.
Yep.
Um, because we both of us are yappers for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, lots of hearts in chat right now.
I'm just
Spotify.
thank you
Oh,
guys for being
Spotify.
here.
Yes.
So the reason we're not on Spotify, I think the last EP is on Spotify, and that's because Matt Jenkins put it on there because he asked us a long time, like when we were still a band, hey, do you care if I release this stuff digitally? It's like I don't care. Take the money, it's fine. It like, is there money to be made? I doubt it, but if there is, he can have it because Matt Jenkins is a wonderful human being. And speaking of Neutral Agreement, he was in Neutral Agreement.
Jenkins. Where's he
He's
from?
also the Hurricane.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different. I'm thinking of
Yeah,
someone else. Okay.
he played bass in Neutral Agreement. He is also Hawthorne Heights tour manager, and you'll see him selling their merch and stuff like that. But I think I'm 99% sure, 100% sure he's the one that put it on Spotify. The rest of the stuff's not on Spotify literally because it costs money to put something on Spotify in the first place. And since we're not a functioning band, it would just be me ponying up that money, you know? And
How much is
if I
it?
broke, I don't remember, dude.
Right.
I think somebody told me it was $70 an album or something like that. But
I'll crowdsource that. No, no. How about this?
if
We
it,
just don't put it on there. We re-release it on vinyl. I'll fund that.
yeah, I'm 90. I keep saying 99%. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. Um, I think it's all on Bandcamp for free too. I mean, if you want digital copies to actually download,
I
you
get the
think I'd be able to?
convenience of Spotify, and I use Spotify, but they have some pretty terrible
Excuse me.
business practices for DIY bands. Not good. It's not great stuff. Kind of feel
No.
guilty that I even support it, but
Everything, all 4 releases, including our demo CD, are on Spotify. Sorry, on Bandcamp for name your own price. And as far as I know, Bandcamp you can still name your own price as $0, and we are okay with that. If you pay for it, I am also nearly positive that money goes to Bobby. I think he's the one that set that up. And I'll tell you what, you give Bobby $6,000 and I'd be thrilled. I love that guy. And if it makes his life better, any amount of money is good stuff. Give it to him. But get it for free if you want. Cause like, again, we're not a band anymore. Like if you enjoy the music, I'm thankful you do. I'm
I'm not
thankful you even
convinced.
remember me. What? You're not convinced, as she said?
I'm not convinced you're not a band anymore. We'll see.
Uh, as far as I know, last I checked. But but no, like the Spotify thing, if we broke even, sure, put it on Spotify. I do not agree with the bull crap that Spotify does to people. I think they've got some shady business practices where Bandcamp is exactly the opposite. They were doing those Bandcamp Fridays for a long time and stuff, and I think they still do them like every 3 months or something. And it's when I try and buy stuff from my friends' bands that I may not have yet. Um, but yeah, I do love Bandcamp. Seems like a really good platform.
Yeah, I posted the Holden Caulfield link onto the Bandcamp.
Thank you.
Or gosh, into the Twitch chat. I posted the Bandcamp link into the Twitch chat. There we go.
I knew
Pro
what you meant.
streamer. Um, pro streamer. Yeah, and also it's called manifesting. All right, for the Holden Caulfield reunion show, it's gonna be manifested for everyone in chat.
Talk to the dudes.
This
I
is what
mean,
I think we should set up a roundtable. I think a streamed
it's
roundtable telling stories.
just freaking peer pressure those guys into agreeing to do it.
No, I mean,
and and of course, I do not mean anything the least bit remotely close to negative or bad about the idea that maybe not everybody would be as into it. If they're not, they're not. That's okay. I want everybody to enjoy themselves.
yeah,
So it's like there was a lot of happiness and fun in my life around this band and around that band. From being with those other four guys to the other people that were in the band all that time, and then the people that we got to meet and the places we got to see and stuff. Like, couldn't ask for more than that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the people you impacted. Also, you said that'd be the farthest person to travel to see it. So far, I know where some of these people are from. I know one person's willing to fly from Arizona. Someone else is willing to fly from California just to go see Holden Caulfield.
Who lives in Arizona and California? Or can you say, or is it cool to bring up their
Uh,
names?
yeah, I was gonna say, okay, TJ Reigns.
Oh yeah,
TJ would
yeah.
fly over.
I'd be really happy to see TJ. He was
Oh,
supposed to be the drummer in Last Level. Frickin' TJ, dang it. He was supposed to be the drummer in Last Level, and he would not take days off from working at Kroger to practice every now and then. And I'm so bummed about that because I was really amped to be in a band with TJ.
yeah. TJ's always been great to me. Oh, I love TJ.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd love to just see him, you know?
I'll
Yeah.
fly back and we can do a Last Level set.
We'll just write a bunch of new songs. How about that?
Yeah, man.
Um,
Yeah, I get it though. I don't want to put anyone on the spot either. Well, I do, but when they're here, and we could really just talk it out and be like, listen, everyone loves it. Great idea.
Dwayne just said he just texted me and said I'll have it on all streaming services later tonight if you want.
Oh yeah, yeah. I meant to read that. It said DistroKid account.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we talked about putting it on iTunes, and it sucks because it's like it does make sense even though it's the band is gone. It's something I'm really proud of. I'm not
Better
as
keep
in
it.
love with that first demo CD because I hated the way I sang on it because I sang really high pitched because I love bands like By the Grace of God and Shutdown and Brothers Keeper and stuff, like bands that all have really high pitched singers, but I just think they did a better job than I did. And I don't even know how that happened. Uh, JX just texted me and said, "Give Dwayne the green light."
Here's the thing.
um,
It's funny to say we're not even a band anymore because there's tons of stuff I listen on Spotify that bands that aren't bands anymore.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. Dwayne, if you want to do it, buddy, go ahead. I don't have a problem with it. Don't put that last EP on Spotify because Matt Jenkins has it on there. Um, and I hope you make money on it. I'll tell everybody. The second it's on there, remind me, and I'll just blow it up on our Facebook page and stuff. Not that anybody notices that, but I'm happy to spread the word and hopefully at least help you break even. I think that would take about 70 years to break even though, because the money is so little on Spotify. Hold
Uh,
on. JX texted me again. He said, "Here's my remaining question from the chat. Limited run, pre-order only, print as many as are ordered Holden Caulfield t-shirts, re-release when?" Put me on the spot, JX. You and I talked about this stuff last year. I might do a Holden Caulfield t-shirt because I've been asked several times.
yeah, I went in on that for sure.
I do have the beginnings of the design literally on my desktop to remind me to finish it. So if I finish it and I'm happy with it and I share it and people want it, then we'll sell it. And the rest
I
of the band does
know.
know about that. And then originally, I will say this, and I want to run it. Well, I won't say the next thing because I want to run it by them first. But Wayne said, "I don't want your money. I'll send you your 12 cents per year." But anyway, like any money that was made off of it would go to good places, and we would be super transparent about that. Because we don't need it, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I found out we were going to be charged $8 a shirt, we would either sell them for $8 or we would go, well, this is how much they cost. This is how much we're going to sell them for. All the money's going to go to X place, you know.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
if it
that's
happens,
it. When it happens. Sorry, I'm manifesting again.
you got. I mean, so I'm going to be really straightforward with you. one of the things that I do for fun is I do design work for my buddy Terry here. He lives in Indiana, but we met through friends and stuff. Because there's a GI Joe convention here that literally is this weekend, and I've collected GI Joe since I was a little kid, and it's just fun to go there and hang out with a bunch of guys I know. And Terry started doing T-shirt designs like that were GI Joe centric, and then printing them and selling them. And then he switched over to doing like reproduction GI Joe card backs that were obviously reproduction much smaller, and so I do a lot of those things for him, and then some other stuff we worked on together, and that's a fun thing to do. And the whole reason I bring that up is because Terry is excellent about bugging me about things. And by bugging me, I don't mean that I actually feel bugged. It's just really good constant reminders. So if you guys want this t-shirt, I don't mean like you have to attack me about it, but you can. And it's not that I want attention or need attention. But a reminder occasionally never hurts. Because I mean, truthfully, I love the idea of doing it. It's like it's so much of my heart is in that time in my life, and that I would love to be able to relive. And even if it's like, because I do get asked a lot, hey, do you guys have any t-shirts left? No, the handful that we had left after that last show were gone the day after that last show. So this would be probably an all new t-shirt design. And if we went as far to do the all new t-shirt design, we would probably re-release the Psycho t-shirt that we used to have too, maybe with a subtle change, so it was an obvious new thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But
I like the
yeah,
I'll be bugging you too. I hope you know. You think I'm joking? I am going to try
no,
to make the
it's
Holden
fine.
Caulfield roundtable happen.
That's
I
fine.
think it would.
I'd love it. It'd be great for me because I just get to talk to those guys all at the same
Yeah,
time.
I wouldn't even have to
We
talk
went
at
to,
all.
we went to Josh's work to see him and talk to him for an hour one day. I was like, how's nobody getting on this guy's case about this? But yeah, and literally part of the reason I love the Psycho shirt so much, if anybody's seen it, it's just Janet Leigh in the shower screaming. You don't see anything, obviously. If you've seen the film, you don't
Yeah,
see anything. It's just her screaming, and then it says Holden Caulfield underneath, and the Holden Caulfield logo is a mock of the Psycho logo with the cracks through it and stuff. And I was so happy with the end result of that. I was like, that's it, changing the logo of the band to this. And that's what we did. So we kept the Psycho logo as our permanent logo, which is what was on the flyer advertising this thing.
yeah. It's good. You can also sell those shirts through Bandcamp. So
Hey, you can.
yeah,
I still have a bunch of Holden Caulfield stickers with that logo on it, by the way.
yeah.
I got a stack about maybe that deep.
I'm a big.
Feels like a bunch.
Next time I'm out your way, I might as well come grab one because I'm a big sticker
Just send
collector.
me your address here after we're
All
done
right.
talking, and I'll mail you
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, for sure. I got to talk to you about some stuff anyways. You got questions for me that my chat
I
probably
do.
won't care about. Huh.
Yeah. Well, I
Sounds
mean,
like
yeah, they probably will. It's interesting, but I'm
there's some stuff
surprised
I have what I do.
anybody's still here, because like we've been talking we're coming up on 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're at a good spot to end it. I think that the roundtable's got to happen because just in this one stream, we're now getting Holden Caulfield on Spotify, potential T-shirts. I mean,
There's nothing like people that love something and getting motivated about it. You know?
yeah. Ask anyone in my chat, I ain't gonna stop. So we're gonna try to make this happen. Uh,
Yeah.
is there anything
I'd
you
be
want to
into it.
plug or anything? All right, no, go ahead.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no. I was
trying
just
to
gonna
end
say
it, but
I'd be into it if you did, if all the guys were into doing that, I'd love it. It's I mean, for real, just happy to talk to those guys, man. You know? Um
yeah,
so um Bobby is supposed to be like, I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't know what anybody else knows. It's nothing like secretive or anything music wise. It's just, but I'm hopefully going to get to see Bobby in the next like 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm so excited about it because he lives in Florida now, so don't get to see that guy very often, and any chance to get to see those guys, I want to be better about taking it. One of the things that I did living in West Virginia all my life, I had a bad habit of sometimes just being like, yeah, sorry, I don't feel like going out tonight. And so I wouldn't go hang out with everybody. and then suddenly I got offered this job down here and had to move, like, kind of in a rushed manner, and it made me really appreciate that time that I should take to spend with friends and having, like, a long conversation, and whatever, you know? So, yeah, I'll take every opportunity I get at this point, especially being so far away from everybody. Because I mean, let's face it, like, a lot of us were just like, "I love West Virginia, but I gotta go," and we left.
We're in
And
Orlando, you know? Get
yeah,
it.
and I really like my job here. Brooke likes her job. Christian's got a good school, he's got friends, but I think all of us agree, like, if somehow or another we could fall into some good jobs in West Virginia, we'd go back in a heartbeat. Because I miss those people and I miss those hills, you know?
That's something you take for granted while you're there. The hills, man. I don't know. Something I
Yep.
think about a lot. I'm like, sky looks
Yeah.
pretty big here, but man, those mountains are.
I walk out my front door for whatever reason, I just look around, I'm like, "Wow, it's flat." There's
Yeah,
this spot in the drive back to West Virginia from here where the hills start to roll a little bit, and you look this one specific spot, I know a lot of you guys know this spot on I-64 where you can see these gorgeous green rolling hills with next to no trees on them. As much as I love trees, there's something neat about these. There's something neat about these, and a lot of times they'll have animals on them too, and on the left and right of you, and you're like, okay, I'm on my way home, you
yeah.
know, and mm. you know,
I've been getting very very homesick recently. Um,
yeah,
Almost like just on a whim, flew back to West Virginia like tomorrow. I thought about it. Like
yeah,
I'm just gonna hop on a plane, go back home. But gotta be responsible. Maybe do a week in advance. That way, I'm not paying outrageous prices for a plane ticket.
right, yeah.
I am
We've
flying
been
back, chat, for the West Virginia people in chat. I'm flying back for Death Before Dishonor. I'll be there. I'm gonna be
nice.
doing some IRL content with a few bands. Ghost hunting with Ghost Home. I think I'm gonna do like a Battle of the Bands game show with Nearly Mine and Against All, possibly. Talked about that. Not like playing music, like Battle of the Bands, maybe a game or something. We'll see. I think it'll be fun.
That'll be awesome.
But just for the YouTube video, we're gonna say that it's over here. So, is there anything you want to plug?
Nothing I can think of, man. You know, I mean, quite honestly, I live a pretty normal life. I don't have anything to plug. Um, like, I will say, like, I don't care where you live these days. You got to go to shows, and you definitely need to check out those local bands that are just getting started and stuff. I need to be better about it too. It's weird. It's weird being a graybeard in the back of the room, like, doesn't know anybody, or even like the graybeard that's in the middle of the pit. Like, um, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it is funny because I remember we used to go, "What's this old guy doing here?" when we were 27 years old or whatever. But now we're the old guys.
Dude. So, when I went to Todd Down, every kid, young person, like were walking up to me and just asking, like they would just sit down and start talking to me and then ask me questions about old shows and like,
Really?
yeah, I had a completely different experience, and I was just like, where
Yeah.
I didn't go to shows for so long because of my back stuff, I didn't get to experience like being like the old guy at a show. So like
Yeah.
now, like, dude, I'll tell you a crazy story, that the one that like it kind of hit me. Yeah, because Turnstile played at Todd Down. There was a lot of
Yeah.
kids that were experiencing hardcore for their first time ever. They went to Turnstile. This kid walks up to me, he goes, he's super nervous, like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "You think he's like, the Mongoloids were about to play. Like, you think I should mosh?" And the first band I ever moshed to was the Mongoloids. I told
Really?
him that, and he was like, "Okay, awesome." And then he ran in there and moshed, came back out. Like, that was awesome. I was like, "Yeah, dude,
That's so
sick."
cool.
Like, that's why I'm still here. He goes, and he said something. This is kind of corny, but he was like, "It's cool seeing guys like you here because I know like shit's gonna be okay." And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm happy
Yeah.
that I'm happy that you have a
I don't
positive
know.
feeling from it. So
I don't know how he means that either. I would assume that he maybe thinks like, "Hey, older guys are still around, and that means
yeah,
that it's fine. I'll probably do the same thing," you know? I don't know. I would assume that's how he means it, but I don't know.
is it?
Yeah, man, like, one of the funny things about being the older guys, I got to see all those bands that everybody wishes they saw, you know? I didn't see Minor Threat or anything like that, but, I mean, I definitely saw a lot of bands in their early days and stuff like that, and it's not a brag, I'm really excited I got to do that, you know?
Even yeah, you know who I got to see at Todd Down? It was cool seeing. They're older than me. Is Judge.
Who? Yeah, I saw them at that Nate Fest thing, and I was like, I'm glad Judge shows in modern day aren't like they were back in the day because we'd all be dead right now.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. Also, another wild thing. You remember Colin of Arabia?
Yeah.
Dude was moshing with a 8-foot chain.
Ugh,
Yeah,
I
I
think I'm
remember him
good.
being kind of yeah. I mean, it was fun. I remember back in the day, he's always doing some stuff to like draw headlines, huh? I remember back in the
Yeah,
day, like sold his beard on eBay or something.
that's weird. I
Yeah,
don't remember that, but
I remember that.
yeah,
That was
I'm there's like a certain level of violence I'm really cool with at a show, but like an 8-foot chain is definitely way on the other side of the amount of violence I'm okay with, you know? I never went and saw Bad Luck 13 or anything like that because I didn't want to get a chair straight through my temple, you know?
yeah, man. Oh, here's a question I always ask, and I didn't ask you this. This is the perfect person to ask. You might not have an answer, and that's fine if you don't. Is there like one show that like you think of like this is like the best experience I've had? This is the best show. Doesn't even have to be because of the band ruled. Something could have happened. Like Nate's obviously was Hatebreed, right? That's why
Yeah.
you know. Um,
So there was a point where I was getting pretty fed up with hardcore. There was starting, I don't remember what the shows were or whatever, but I had been to several shows that a lot of negativity had broken out at, you know, like fights or just somebody running their mouths on stage or whatever. And it was a bummer, man, you know, like mostly the fights you know, like even online threats to people and stuff like that. It's like, this sucks. This is stupid. And then Mike Ski from Brothers Keeper was getting married, and they were having a like marriage celebration show. And I didn't know those guys yet. I That's when I met them. Um, and some buddies convinced me to go, and I was done. Like I still listen to hardcore, but I was kind of done with going to shows. I've got the poster in a closet back there. There's a few posters down in this room that I would like rotate in and out. I remodeled this basement myself and stupidly made it open concept, which means that it doesn't have as much wall space for my bull crap. So some posters I rotate in and out. And that BK show is one of those posters, but it was uh Brothers Keeper, Earth Crisis, Buried Alive, and the Enkindles. And I think that was it. I'm pretty sure it was those four bands. Anyway, that show turned me around. And like EMS and a lot of other people, JX and a lot of those guys have all heard this story, but like that that was such a fun, happy, positive experience. And everybody had so many things to say that were so nice. And it wasn't just about like, hey, congratulations, Mike and Jessica, which unfortunately they're divorced now, but that's not the point. I felt like I should note that just for whatever reason, but the point was is like people were just in a really happy place at that show despite like these heavy hitters playing and stuff, you know, and a lot of good things to say and just smiles all around. And it was the first time I'd ever been to a show in Erie, which eventually like we started going to shows in Erie all the time. um Erie used to have an amazing scene, and like there's a little bit of it coming up. Which, by the way, I'm going to tell you guys now: Human Animal, EMS from Brothers Keeper played bass, and Brothers Keeper he sings for Human Animal. You guys need to check them out, and they're playing in Morgantown really soon. You guys should go to that show, please, because such a good band and just really great dudes. And Bob the drummer. He was in Brothers Keeper. Um, some guys from Shockwave and Problem Solver Revolver and stuff. Good band. But anyways, yeah, I just couldn't get over how happy everybody was and how cool everybody was there and stuff. And like just, you know, the five of us, I think it was, that went up to that show and just had a fantastic time, and it turned me around on going to shows again. And I hadn't been out of it for a long time. but it was just such a good thing, and, I'm glad I went because I ended up becoming a bigger fan of all those bands that night, and I ended up, like, starting to go to shows all the time again, and since that show in what, 2000 or something? Maybe earlier? Maybe 98. I don't know, dude. Since that show, I've maybe seen, like, 2 or 3 fights at shows, really. I've been to some shows that you would expect to see fights at, actually, but you didn't. And I'm glad. I did break up a fight at that Sick of It All show a couple years ago. That was kinda funny.
Yeah.
Guy way bigger than me was just beating the tar out of this dude. I don't know what happened, but I just grabbed him from the back and I kept patting him on the chest like that. And I was just going, nope, 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 nope in his ear, just trying to get him to chill out. It was hilarious.
Yeah, man. It's interesting to see like this I don't feel like I don't feel like I see a lot of fights now when I go to shows. Like even a tie down, a show that big, and the way people like the stuff some people are doing now, moshing, is like everyone is doing what the craziest person used to, like all at the
Yeah.
same time. And like you'll see someone get like almost knocked out, but then just like jump back up. Like
Yep.
we're doing like, no fighting. Like it's I don't know, it's been kind of cool to see.
Yeah. The only thing being at modern hardcore shows that I really, really hate is freaking crowd killing, man. I've always hated crowd killing. I don't understand it. It's like you're too scared to get in the pit, but you're happy to beat the tar out of people. Like I cannot stand it. I don't get it. And I get called, "Oh, you don't know hardcore," whatever, old man, all that stuff. Nah, like, dude, I'll get out in the pit and do whatever, but I'm not gonna deliberately, like, closed fist hit people.
Especially like a non-participant.
Yeah, and yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. People that don't see it coming, you know? So, nah, I don't wanna do that. Um, but yeah. Now I gotta look into what's coming around here. I've hyped myself up for going to shows.
You're in a good spot right now. I think that
Yeah.
some of the stuff that
What
those LDB dudes are doing, uh, I follow the thing that's getting tons of shows all the time.
Yeah. So they've got some killer shows. Like sometimes, I mean, because 2025, man, like some of those shows, I'm like, dang, that's an expensive friggin' show. Sort of a bummer. But, in other cases, it's like Obituary playing at Portal, and that's not a huge venue. By the way, if you ever come to Louisville and have a chance to go to a venue called Portal, you guys, it's a really, really nice space. Super big time high end vibes. Like space itself, what they're doing with it, because it's an art space. There's a restaurant in the back and everything. It's nice. I don't know anybody that runs that place at all, but I've been to several shows there and it's good.
Um, Jackson Chat said HM show Saturday. He should come. I know you can't go because the GI Joe convention, but people in West Virginia that are in my chat right now
Yeah.
probably should go. So one of the things I close every stream with is start a band, go to a show.
Yep. Freaking Vile Mind is playing about an hour from here tomorrow night, and I know I won't be able to make it. If it weren't for all the things that I already have to do tomorrow, I would definitely go to that. And I'd love to just roll in and be like, "Who's up, fellas?" But I can't,
I had thought
unfortunately.
about for that Death Before Dishonor show just showing up and not telling anyone when I was coming. But then
Yeah.
like part of me is like, I should probably like make plans and make some sort of
Right.
content out of it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, so but yeah, I think we may call it here. I surprised that you're like, I need to be in bed by 12:30. And I'm like, we won't make it past 10. Here we are
It's
at 11
almost
o'clock.
11. The fact that
Yep.
anybody is in the chat, even if it's just JX, it's like I'm glad you guys are here, but I can't believe you stuck around.
Yeah, it's no, it's great. It's also going up on YouTube. I'm probably
Yeah.
going to streamline it a little bit and put it out earlier than I normally would. I like to keep a buffer. So that way, if I don't do interviews for like a week or two, I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh no, I don't
Yeah.
have anything to release.
Yeah,
Um,
let me know when you do post it up because I'll share it out everywhere.
I'll tell you right now, it'll be Wednesday next week. But I think I'm gonna drop it.
Okay,
It gives
cool.
me some time to edit some small things. Should be really easy. this interview was very easy to do. Uh,
I'm
there's
glad.
no, yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, we're almost 3 hours in. This is
Yeah.
always
It
we could keep going. I feel like if we wanted
yeah, man.
to.
I I my first retail job was at a record store, and then I was a communications major in college, and I took speech classes, and then I, sang in bands, and all the band I deliberately paid attention to the bands that I loved to learn how to do better on stage. Whether I maybe I wasn't even close to as good as those guys, but one of the things I learned was like frickin' talk, and it's just this is my favorite thing in the world to talk about, you know. So it's really easy to just keep going and going and going, you know?
Yeah, here's a question I don't normally ask because another podcast asks it, but because you said that, who do you do when you're on stage? Like, who is your? Everyone has like a guy that they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. So when I really started paying attention to the bands that I loved and started being like, I like a lot of the aspects of how this guy handles the crowd, how he speaks, how he gets people hyped, how he moves, everything. It was Lou from Sick of It All, which I've said enough about them that can't surprise you now. Mike Patton from Faith No More, because
Oh, good one.
the guy would just spaz out and people still loved it, you know. And then Jet from Sam Black Church, because like one of the things about Jet was he would literally like do these crazy David Lee Roth splits almost in midair. Like he'd do toe touches and somehow be it above the rest of the band. And like I loved everything about those guys and their stage presence, you know. And like Lou, a lot of what Lou does, it's like he doesn't a lot of bands have a bad habit about this. Um and I learned from Lou yell the whole time when you're talking, obviously when you're singing, everything. People will talk into the microphone like I'm talking right now, but there's so much extra noise in the room. You really need to yell so you can be heard, and you still need to speak clearly so you can be understood. And, and like he's great about that. And like dude's older than me, and he, in the last tour he was doing before he got diagnosed with cancer, he was still yelling like that and putting on the same show he did 30 years ago, you know? And like the videos I saw of Sam Black Church doing a reunion, same thing. Guy's got knee braces and stuff on now, but he's still like jumping all over the place. And like Mike Patton, his stage presence is a lot more chilled out, but like during some of the more heavy songs, he might move a lot more, you know?
Yeah,
And there were maybe a handful of other bands, but like that's actually an easy one for me to pinpoint, really. And like, do I do that stuff? Really, Mike Ski too. Like, Mike Ski used to like do a lot of hand gesturing and stuff to get the crowd hyped up. I tend to talk with my hands a lot anyway, and like, uh, it was kind of easy to pinpoint those dudes. And it obviously evolved into my own thing a little bit too, but those are the guys that I think I emulated a little bit here and there.
yeah. I think mine was definitely Scott Vogel. Uh,
Yeah.
the it's like the way he yaps,
Yep.
and then Ceremony would be my other one, especially when I was doing vocals in bands.
Yep.
I like to be kind of
It
animated.
peak Scott Vogel for me was Buried Alive. Right down to the fact that man, I love their music, like the lyrics and everything, and like everything about what he was doing in that band just totally ruled. Like I really like Despair and I like Terror. I can't remember the band he did before Despair now. I'm totally blanking.
You want to hear my most unpopular hardcore opinion?
What?
Every Terror album is better than the one before it.
Yeah.
Yeah, up to even the current one. The oh god, what's it called? Why am I blanking on that? Pain in the Power.
Yeah. Okay.
Pain in the Power. Yeah, I just think they
Um
get better every album. People always argue with them, like, no, Pain in the Power is the best album.
well like speaking of Sick of It All, they released an album it's been a while at this point, but they released an album in I think a year or two before COVID. It's one of the best things they'd ever done. It was amazing, you know? And I was just like, man, good for you guys. Still killing it to this day. Never put out a stinker and never started playing like a completely different style or anything either, you know. Somehow kept it fresh the whole time. Like, yeah, their style you could hear like he was doing something that was a little bit hip hoppy at times, you know, for a minute there and stuff, but it wasn't drastically different from anything else they were doing, you know. Um but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this just because this might be someone you know if they came here late, but they dropped the name. Said, "Glad I got to see some of this." This is Chad A, by the way.
Chad Ashworth. Oh, sorry, Chad.
Whoa,
I'm sorry. I hope you didn't mind me
double.
giving your last name. Hi, buddy.
We can wipe that from the YouTube video.
Yeah, tell me if you
It's
want to
so
wipe
funny
the
because
YouTube video. Sorry.
I've been streaming for 6 years now, and I still
Uh,
slip up with that sometimes.
I've said way too many last names in the last 3 hours.
Yeah,
But I mean,
there'll
like
be
some
like,
of these people, I say it because I want to give them the recognition they deserve, you know? But then others are just good friends from a long time ago and stuff, you know? Chad
yeah,
Chad filled in Holden Caulfield for a minute. Like he never played any shows. But there was like a hot minute there that he was jamming with us and because that's really what we were doing. We were, for the most part, we were just writing. We did play some of our songs, but we were just writing. And it was just great to spend extra time with him, you know? And he really, really gelled with everybody in the band really well. Um, and my friend Lisa that I mentioned earlier, she and Chad's wife have been really great friends for years. So I've known her forever. And yeah, super great people.
yeah.
Tell me
It's
if
good
you want
to.
me to take your last name out, Chad.
Yeah, I can remove it from the YouTube videos. It won't be an issue at all.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm terrible at editing videos, but I can add a little beep.
Yeah. I actually love editing videos, and when I used to do a podcast long time ago, it was super fun. I would take out practically every little and I'd put like a music bed in there, and I had all kinds of fun with it. And the more I learned about it, the more crap I'd add to it. And then finally I was like,
I
man, I'm
need
spending days
just
doing this.
just so busy that I feel like I would enjoy it if I would sit down and learn it, just because I
Yeah.
love tech in general.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to find the time.
I get it. Well, hey, you know how you learned all that programming stuff. Bet you could find a fantastic learning tool in there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I know I
Um,
could do it.
I clunked my way around with Premiere a couple of times, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a big giant bear." I
What'd you end
mean,
up using?
I
DaVinci
used
or
no, I did. I
just
finished
Premiere?
what I was trying to accomplish with Premiere. Um, it wasn't anything major, and I was trying to do. Here's what sucks. Speaking of the minus tide, I was trying to do just for the fun of it, um, a YouTube video because I have super high resolution scans that I did of all their records. And I was just going to basically make lyric videos of all their music and put it on YouTube with their permission. But before I even asked them if it was cool, I just wanted to make the video and see that I could. And so I was just using these scans and it'd be like the song and it would start and then you would slowly go up through the lyrics. Then when the next song started, it would move over to that. And like they have one album where the lyrics, like one lyric will be facing this way and the other's this way and the other's this way. And so it was spinning the album layout all over the place. And I was really excited about that. And then I built this computer that I'm on right now and lost a lot of the data off of my old one, and it's gone now. So if I did it, I would have to start from scratch. Um, so there's probably somebody more talented out there that would be able to do a better job than me anyway. But it was a fun exercise because I was learning a lot.
Yeah, I love learning stuff, so I definitely it's something I
Yeah.
should dive into. It's just when you work all day in front of a computer, sometimes it's hard to go home and be in front of a computer. You know?
It it's easy for me to come home and be in front of a computer, but it's hard for me to come home and be in front of a computer and have a secondary learning experience.
That's what I
You
mean.
know?
I'll come home and play
Yeah.
video games on a computer
Right.
all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
definitely do that. But like if I got to come home and then like I was trying to learn because I'm really good at Photoshop, but I'm not very good at Illustrator, and I was trying to do some tutorials to learn more about Illustrator, and just trying to make myself do that was nearly impossible, you know. So, yeah.
All right, chat. We're probably going to end it here. This is be a meaty YouTube video, which
Yeah.
I am okay with. See, yeah, we'll be manifesting the Holden Caulfield Roundtable. No promises. I think that would be a fun interview. Dana, I appreciate you coming on.
Dude, happy
This
to do
was
it.
such a good conversation. My quick shout out to Huntington Music Collective. Shout out to Hate56 for allowing the use of their videos on stream, even though we didn't use them today. Um, Shout out to Dwayne Hinkle for putting old Caulfield music on Spotify. Hopefully by tomorrow.
Yeah. If he really does it, man. Even if he doesn't, shout out to Dwayne Hinkle because he's the best.
Yeah,
And
and the
thank you
worst. I'm just
guys.
kidding, like Dwayne. I'm just I love Dwayne.
No, and for real, thank you guys. Anybody that came and went or came the whole time or showed up late or whatever, man, it's really cool. Like it's it's wonderful to know that anything I've ever done mattered to anybody. And
Sounds mattered to a lot of people.
yeah, and the biggest thing is obviously what I do matters to my wife and son and my parents and my sister and a handful of super close friends, but like it's still there's just something insanely special about like I wrote a bunch of lyrics about different aspects of my life or ideas and stories I might have, and people cared. And that's a wild experience to have, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah, man. That's it's good stuff. I mean,
Just
you know,
want to end
just
on a weird, somber note, you know.
yeah, man. That's I don't think we could sum it up better than that. Chat next week. We'll have Michael Young from Bauman, former Cold and Distant. Uh, so be on the lookout for that. I got a bunch of other stuff lined up. Some non West Virginia hardcore bands that are kind of a little bit bigger. So that's gonna be interesting. I don't know how I can do an interview without lore, but we'll see. Um, but until next time, chat. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.